Hokage give me a face, Chapter 1-20. Chapter 1 _ give me face. My name is Yi-zan. My name is Shimura-zan in this life. I am a ninja in Konoha. My father in this life doted on me so much that he even gave me whatever I wanted. But I always felt awkward. After all, my father was one of the de facto rulers of Konoha, Shimura Danzo. When watching anime in his previous life, Danzo gave him the impression that he was vicious and vicious. For the benefit of Konoha and himself, no matter how dark he was, he could do the darkest things. The sense of contrast made it difficult for Yi-zan to adapt for several years. The energetic voice in the class was constantly teaching the class. Yi-zan rested his chin with his left hand, lowered his head slightly and lost his mind, silently thinking about Hokage's plot and strange life. It's been a few years since Sarutobi Hiruzen became the third generation of Hokage, and the three Sunade Orochimaru must have become Jonin. I'm in the first year of ninja school this year, so the second ninja war should be a few years away, right? Hokage Chronicle in the previous life was vague, and it was impossible to determine when the outbreak occurred. Inexplicably, Yi-zan felt a sense of crisis. Danzo has never heard of having a son in his previous life. Is his appearance a coincidence or inevitable? If it is inevitable, then the wheel of history will slowly push, and I will eventually disappear into the vast time. That is to say, one day, I will die because of something, and there is no record of my previous life. Any information. Just as Yi-zan was thinking silently, a stream of air sounded with a slight sound of breaking the air. Yi-zan raised his head subconsciously, and saw a white thing coming. Snapped. Ouch. Forehead was in severe pain, and after a while, a small yuhi bag appeared. When he came back to his senses, he found that the third generation of Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was standing on the podium angrily, and then the whole class burst into laughter. Shimura-zan, you said, what did I just say? Sarutobi was furious. He managed to find time to come to the school to teach students, but found that the son of his old rival was deserting in class. Sarutobi didn't deliberately target Yi-zan, he just had a feeling of hating iron for not making steel. Yi-zan also understood this. He giggled and covered his head, pretending to be pitiful. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be distracted, I'm sick and have a headache. Quote. Headache. Sarutobi glanced around suspiciously, and found that most of the students in the class were holding their breath, as if they were about to burst into laughter in the next moment. He rarely came to the school and didn't understand the reason, but he also felt something tricky. Since you have a headache, go to the school doctor to see it and issue a certificate, and you can go home and rest. I'm sorry, Mr. Sarutobi, it's because the school doctor can't issue a certificate that gives me a headache. Ha 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 ha. The whole class burst into laughter, making Sarutobi's face even more ugly. He angrily pointed at the door and yelled at Yi-zan, get out. As a third-generation Hokage, Sarutobi is very busy. He left the school after 2 hours of lectures in Class A of the first grade. Shaking his middle finger at Sarutobi's back, Yi-zan held his head high and walked into the classroom like a general victorious. As expected, the whole class paid high respect to this guy who dared to provoke 3 generations of Hokage. Hey, little son, am I handsome today? Yi-zan patted the shoulders of the classmates in the front row, his face full of pride. It's not handsome at all. Master Hokage's theory class is very important. I have learned a lot from today's class. The boy who Yi-zan called little son turned around and smiled brightly. The voice is a bit girly. That's right, sitting in front of Yi-zan is the future 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato. Not only him, but also Yamanaka Inoichi, Akamichi Choza, Nara Shikaku, Inuzuka Claw and Uchiha Makoto from Class A of the first grade. Che, it's not fun at all. Good students can't find girlfriends. Yi-zan looked at Namikaze Minato with contempt, and then returned to his seat. He raised his hand carelessly to the left and grabbed a small, white and tender jade hand. Makoto, am I good today? I was caught off guard by the small hand, and a smear of Yuhisha appeared on Uchiha Makoto's cheek. She struggled lightly, but after realizing that she couldn't break free from Yizan's hand, the yuhisha on her face became more and more hazy. Gee, Shimura classmate, you're amazing today. Makoto, who was being eaten by Yizan and had a gentle personality, was a little overwhelmed, like a little white rabbit who fell into the wolf's claws, looking very moving. However, there will never be a shortage of heroes saving beauty in the world. At this moment, a boy came over from the aisle with a grim expression and Uchiha's fan on his black clothes. Shimura-san, let go of Makoto's hand. She is my boss Fugaku, the woman appointed by the next Uchiha chief. If you don't want to die, let me go immediately. This guy named Uchiha Star stared at Yizan coldly, and a burst of chakra close to Genin burst out. For the first-year students of the ninja school, this amount is enough to sweep the classroom and destroy all civilians including Namikaze Minato. The students were suppressed, and even the 3 Ino Shikacho, who were born in the big family, were discolored. As expected of the Uchiha family, they are the same age as us, but they have such a terrifying chakra. Nara Shikaku frowned. He knew Yizan's background well. If Uchiha Star really beat Yizan, it would be troublesome. As a Konoha think tank, Nara Shikaku has been required to read and study since he was a child. He has read more than half of the secret books in the family, knowing that Danzo has inherited the will of the second generation of Hokage, and always finds ways to target the Uchiha family. He opened his mouth and was about to persuade him to fight, but Uchiha Shin suddenly turned his head, staring at him with cold eyes, blocking everything he was going to say. Powerlessness is Shikaku's mentality at the moment. He sighed softly, knowing in his heart that a child raised by Danzo would never compromise. Just as Uchiha Star turned to look at Shikaku, Yizan narrowed his eyes and smiled, like a harmless sheep. Suddenly, the sheep turned into a tiger. A blue light circle, like a wave, rushed towards the Uchiha Star frantically. Boom! The air vibrated, forming ripples that spread around, and the arrogant Star Uchiha just felt a sharp pain in his abdomen, and his body flew out uncontrollably. Click! The classroom shook slightly, and a crack appeared on the wall. Star Uchiha stared in disbelief as he slowly slipped off the wall. He knelt on the ground, trembling all over, his hands on his stomach, his face contorted in excruciating pain. 7 years old when he was hit by this terrifying blow, and he almost fainted in pain. Fortunately, Uchiha's family training since he was a child allowed him to control the chakra covering his abdomen and back at the last minute. Even so, he lost it. All ability to act. Blood kept dripping from the corners of his mouth, his eyes were still vicious, and Uchiha's arrogance made him not bow his head even if he died. It happened too suddenly, and Yizan's violence shocked everyone in the classroom. Just when the whole classroom was quiet, Teacher Chunin, who was in the next class, finally came over. What are you doing? What are you guys doing? Shimura-san, you did it. It's just insane. You almost killed your classmate. The teacher rushed in to quickly check Uchiha's injuries, and after treating him in the simplest way, his face turned ashen. Shimura-san, suspected of killing a classmate, follow me to Hokage's office. Don't go. What? I said, don't go. As if nothing happened, Yizan patted his clothes, looking calm. An ethereal aura emanated from his body, forming a golden field, but no one could see it. Shin Uchiha, Teacher Duanmu, give me some face, and let this matter pass like this. Chapter 2_Storm. The Face Fruit, a fruit that has never appeared in One Piece. In the previous life, Yizan was a pseudo-house and liked anime, but he didn't watch much anime. Whenever there is a Comic-Con in his city, he will go to the Comic-Con, even if he doesn't buy anything. It's good to see girls. How did he die? Not being hit by a car, nor being electrocuted, but being induced by a cute girl to buy a cake in the shape of a devil fruit with 1,000 oceans at the Comic-Con, perhaps feeling cheated, blood loss, and Yizan's anger. I swallowed the cake in one go and choked to death. The fact is so bloody. When Yizan came to the world of Hokage, he was surprised to find that he actually possessed the power of fruit. Not only that, but he also had a system in his mind. He didn't know this at first, until one night when he was 3 years old, he found a screen in his dream. He speculated that this should be the legendary Goldfinger, the system. In other fan novels, this screen is imprinted in the mind, can't speak, has no intelligence, like a virtual computer screen with Yi-zan's data listed on it. Yi-zan, human. Occupation, ninja. Abilities, face fruit, clone technique, white, substitute technique, white, transformation technique, white, futon, wind style. Vacuum sphere, white, futon, wind style. Wind cut, white. It's that simple, and then there's nothing left. Yi-zan studied for several years and tried countless methods, but he didn't make any progress. The screen was left alone and engraved in his mind. Just when he learned a new ninjutsu, the learned ninjutsu would automatically appear on the screen, even the one above white. He didn't understand what it meant either. The ability of the face fruit is not depicted on the screen. Give face was researched by Yi-zan himself, forming a golden field with all favorable factors such as strength and power. Field can suppress people whose overall score is weaker than you, that is, give face, but if the opponent is stronger than you, has a deeper background than you, or doesn't care about the name Shimura Danzo at all, you can, don't give face, and trigger the face fruit, the second ability. As Danzo's own son, this body's natural cultivation speed is very fast, plus the soul from the 21st century. Under the guidance of Danzo, Yi-zan's strength has reached the level of genin. Uchiha Star is not as strong as Yi-zan. Duanmu teacher is just a commoner chunin, afraid of Danzo's name, and finally makes Yi-zan's face fruit successfully launched. Uchiha Star quietly admitted to the hospital. Duanmu teacher also seems to have nothing happened. Normal lectures began. Class, get out of class, class. Yi-zan was disgusted by the boring and unchanging pattern in his student days. He glanced out the window, a piece of cherry blossoms fell on the windowsill, and was suddenly blown away by the breeze. What a boring class. Yi-zan moved his body lazily, supported his head with one hand, his eyes wandered, his thoughts wandered, and after a while, a slight snoring sounded. Makoto, who was sitting beside him, found helplessly that this strong and bad guy. I touched my hand before, but now I fell asleep carelessly and there was a trace of dream saliva flowing from the corner of my mouth. But the way this guy sleeps. He's really cute. Makoto silently stared at Yi-zan's profile, just staring at it like this, unprecedented and distracted. When Yi-zan woke up again, the sunset was already yuhi, and teacher Duanmu announced the dismissal of school. Yi-zan yawned lazily, opened his eyes, and found a delicate little face in front of him. The cheeks with a little baby fat were extremely cute. Yi-zan was stunned, and subconsciously pinched his cheeks. Go. Oops, what are you doing? The tender little hands grabbed Yi-zan to prevent the other party from rubbing his face further. Makoto was ashamed and annoyed, and his big eyes were full of anger. Girls in the Hokage world are generally precocious. Although Uchiha Makoto is young, she also understands some relationships between men and women. As early as before, when Yi-zan touched her hand, she felt extremely shy, but she was gentle in nature and was not good at rejecting and expressing. When Yi-zan made more intimate actions, she couldn't help it after all. What am I doing? I'm pinching you, Makoto, you're so stupid. My actions are so obvious, and you still ask me what I'm doing. Yi-zan said with a smile, releasing Makoto's cheeks. Holding her hand, Makoto, your hand is so smooth and tender, will you let me touch it later? I'm not stupid. Also, it's not good. Shimura classmate, you're too bad. Being molested by Yi-zan, Makoto's face was like Yuhi's, and she didn't know where the strength came from. She broke free. Yi-zan's claws rushed out of the door in a flash, and a faint chakra appeared under his feet, followed by a wave of fluctuations, and disappeared without a trace in an instant. Being bullied and stimulated by Yi-zan, Makoto actually mastered the basic application of chakra unknowingly. I have to say that as the granddaughter of the contemporary chief elder of the Uchiha family, Makoto's talent is very good. The students in the classroom left one after another. Namikaze Minato and Yizan went different ways. After saying hello, they left alone. Yizan glanced at the classroom and found that this generation of Ino Shikacho was still in the classroom. Hesitantly, he walked over slowly. Hello, Shikaku, Inoichi, Choza, let's go back together. Yizan's initiative made Shikaku hesitant. As Konoha's think tank, Shikaku is young, but he understands the difference in Konoha's power. Rationally, Sarutobi's direct family can't get too close to Shimura's family, but at this moment Shikaku he was always just a child. No matter how smart he was, his emotions still prevailed. The strength of Yizan's performance today made Shikaku admire him from the bottom of his heart. Well, then, let's go back together. Shikaku nodded, and Inoichi and Choza, who were Shikaku's lead, naturally would not object. After the four of them left the school, they chatted along the way, and Yizan was mostly talking, and the other three were listening. This also made the three of them realize that Yizan, whether it is ninjutsu or taijutsu, or even the various historical secrets of the ninja world, there are extraordinary insights. Inoichi and Choza only think that Yizan is powerful, but Shikaku can't help but be surprised, frowning slightly, and his thoughts appear to be scattered. Most of the Konoha family live in the south of Konoha. The Ino Shikacho families are close together, but the Shimura family is farther away. The three separated at the intersection. It was only at this moment that Shikaku woke up from his contemplation. That, Shimura-san. Uchiha Makoto has a considerable position in the Uchiha clan. Your behavior today has always been a bit too much. Also, you have to be careful about Uchiha Fugaku. According to my father, this person has been designated as the next patriarch by the Uchiha clan. You should pay more attention to yourself. Shikaku's words made Yizan stunned for a moment, and then he smiled casually. He understood that today's goodwill was not in vain. From Shikaku's reminder, it can be seen that the other party is a good person and a friend who can be made. Thank you for your reminder. Don't worry, I have arranged this matter myself. Yizan waved at the three of them, turned around and walked to another road. With his back to the three of them, the smile on the corner of his mouth gradually calmed down, and information about Uchiha Fugaku appeared in his mind. Uchiha Fugaku, 14 years old, elite chunin, serving as Konoha police squad leader. So what? Better not mess with me, otherwise. Chapter 3 Danzo is a loving father, I can't believe it. Shimura's house is far from the center of Konoha, and after a 20-minute journey, Yizan finally returned home. Opening the door, the smell of meat overflowed from the kitchen. Yizan's face froze, and a sense of awkwardness rose again in his heart. Can you be awkward? It's none other than the worst and darkest person in Konoha, Shimura Danzo. Danzo in this era hasn't gotten Sharingan, and he doesn't look down on the Uchiha family at all when his strength is at its peak. You must know that there are 6 disciples of the second generation of Hokage, and only Danzo can compete with Sarutobi for Hokage. What does this mean? This means that Danzo's strength has also reached Kage level. Pity that Kage level is also divided into grades. Sarutobi, who has the name of Ningxiang, is 30% higher than Danzo. However, now the most important thing is not this. Why is Danzo cooking in an apron? You are the big boss of Konoha. You are the leader of the root, and your temperament. Yizan roared in his heart, having nothing to say to this cheap old man. He walked to the kitchen step by step. His nose twitched, the aroma was even worse, and his stomach growled involuntarily. Hungry? Go wash your hands first, and eat in a while. Danzo rubbed Yizan's head. His doting look made Yizan doubt again whether the world was Hokage. The mother of this life died of dystocia when he was born. The two father and son depended on each other. Although the family hired a nanny who specialized in cooking, if the other party could not come due to any special circumstances, Danzo would cook. In the past 7 years, Danzo's cooking has happened several times, but this kind of weird scene made Yizan complain every time. But I have to say that Danzo's cooking skills are very good, comparable to the professional chefs in previous lives. How was school today? Dinner table. Danzo started his daily care. Yizan thought that he had beaten Uchiha and bullied Makoto. He was chewing for a moment, and said unnaturally, "Well, it's okay, the old monkey came to the school to give a lecture, I pissed him off half to death," Yizan said while chewing, and he quickly swallowed a large rice ball into his stomach. "What are you angering Sarutobi for? You kid isn't just venting your anger for me, right?" Danzo's so-called venting naturally refers to the failure to compete for Hokage. For this, Yizan just turned to Byakugan and mercilessly attacked. "Your strength is weaker than Sarutobi, and your temperament is not comparable to him, so you failed to compete for Hokage. It's an inevitable event, so I won't be angry for you." Being hit by Yizan, Danzo was immediately embarrassed. He scratched his head and laughed, not knowing what to say for a while. This is the current Danzo. Maybe he is still strong outside, maybe he is still the leader of the murderous root, but at home, he has become a kind father among kind fathers. Even if he is beaten and despised by Yizan, he is just laughing. Not angry either. After eating a meal amid the usual blows, Yizan took a short rest before starting the arduous training. For this, Danzo didn't give in, and was very strict with Yizan. This is a world where strength is paramount, and it is also a world where life is like a must. Since the establishment of the ninja school, no matter anyone, any child of any family must attend the ninja school, graduate, and be assigned to the official formation of Konoha. At this moment, Sarutobi is in his prime. No matter his strength or means, he is extremely powerful. Danzo can't use his private power to protect Yizan. He understands even more that he can't protect Yizan all his life. Good way. Yizan also understands this and has no objection to Danzo's high-pressure teaching. As an otaku from the 21st century, he has finally come to an interesting world, and Yizan's ambition has also burned. If he wants to become the strongest, he wants to do whatever he wants. He knows that only absolute strength can achieve the goal in his heart. Fortunately, Yizan has a face fruit and a system. Although he has no use for it so far, he has never given up the ability to develop the fruit, nor the system. He believes that one day in the future, these two things will definitely be given to him. Bring about dramatic changes. Boom. Teacup turned into pieces and splashed, causing the crows on the eaves to fly in terror. Uchiha Fugaku, who was wearing a Chunin vest, clenched his fists tightly. Although he was only 14 years old, his face showed ruthlessness that did not match his age. Shimura-gen, Shimura-gen. There is no impermeable wall in the world. Although Yizan used the power of the face fruit to force Uchiha and the teacher to shut up, but there were so many people in Class A of the first grade, some gossip quickly reached Fugaku's ears. The marriage with the granddaughter of the elder is imperative. This is an extremely important step for me to control the Uchiha family in the future. Not to mention your son of Shimura Danzo, even if you are the son of Sarutobi, you are not allowed to destroy my plan. In this case, the shadows of the Uchiha tribe fluttered, and in the backyard of Shimura's house, Yizan was lying on the ground sweating profusely. Beside him stood Danzo with a stern face. The loving father in his life became a hellish strict teacher in practice. Get up. No way, the chakra has been used up, and the stamina is also used up, I'm almost exhausted. HMPH, that's all that perseverance. Bah, dead old man, you are a cage-level powerhouse bullying the first-year students of the ninja school, are you embarrassed? Do you want your face? Don't make excuses, this world is inherently unfair, you will become Chunin-jonin in the future, and you will encounter stronger enemies when you go out on a mission. Stand up, you must persevere, or you will be greeted by death. Danzo tensed his face, cage-level chakra burst out with murderous intent. At that moment, Yizan only felt cold hands and feet, An indescribable feeling came to his mind from the back of his spine, his pupils shrank sharply, and the reflected world became more and more faint. He's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. Forced by murderous aura, Yizan's thinking was thrown into confusion. He forgot his identity in the backyard of his home. He felt that he had fallen into a dark abyss. Brain pierced. System screen, in his mind still did nothing, and he could not rely on external things. At this moment, Yizan's heart changed qualitatively. What fruit ability, what false system, it turns out that my heart is the same as the previous life. I am still an ordinary otaku, and I have no determination to give everything to become stronger. Even if I encounter an enemy, I am still a garbage. I want to become stronger. Even if there is no fruit ability, even if there is no system, I have to become stronger, because I am an omnipotent transmigrator. As if something exploded from the body, an infinite force poured into the weak body. Yizan's eyes widened angrily, his right hand slammed the ground into the air, swirled, and kicked him with all his strength. Boom! Blue-veined hand firmly grasped the attacking foot. Danzo looked at Yizan silently, with a smile at the corner of his mouth, his eyes filled with infinite love and relief. As expected of my son, is your body overdrawn? Get a good night's sleep. I think it will be fine tomorrow. Hearing Danzo's voice, Yizan suddenly felt a wave of tiredness rushing in. He closed his eyes gently, and his last thoughts turned into chaos and vanished. Chapter 4 _ The second ability, Duel. The next morning. I'm full. Yizan waved at Danzo and started a day trip to school. Walking in the empty alley, Yizan hummed a little song and was in a very good mood. Danzo last night, chakra finally broke through to reach the elite genin level. I don't know what medicine Danzo used for him. The overdraft outbreak that would have had sequelae was repaired overnight. Not only that, Yizan felt that his control of chakra had doubled, and futon wind style. Wind cut such AC-level ninjutsu was even more easily picked up. Originally, there was a genin-level taijutsu, and he also received a lot of attention. Small boost. Huh, what is this? Yizan paused and stopped in the middle of the alley. His eyes were dazed, and his mind was immersed in his mind. Heart of the Strong White can increase the release speed and power by 100% in 1 second. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, demonic illusion are all effective. Is this him? Get rich. Yizan was extremely excited. A new skill appeared on the system screen in his mind. He guessed that it should be related to the practice last night, but the concept was different. This is an active skill, which is a skill that does not exist in the Hokage world. At that moment, Yizan understood how to use the skill. He couldn't explain it clearly, it was mysterious, but he just understood how to release the skill. Yizan stood stupidly in the alley, but did not know that at this moment, 10 meters in front of the alley, several ninjas were ambushed in the grass, each with Uchiha fans printed on their clothes. Captain, did he find out? Why did he stop in place? Uchi Namikaze Rei, are you an idiot? How could a first-year kid at a mere ninja school find us? HMPH, you are an idiot, but don't forget, he is Danzo's son, and he defeated Uchiha with one punch. Although he is only a Jonin school, I guess his strength has reached Genin. Genin. Hee, Uchi Namikaze, can't you bet, if he has Genin strength, I'll eat shit, if not, you eat. Enough, you two idiots. The man at the front of the ambush had a gloomy face. He was not as old as the two behind him, but his gloomy voice made the two behind him shrink their necks and were very afraid. Sorry, Boss Fugaku. Boss, I was just joking. Humph. Fugaku snorted coldly, watching Yizan still standing not far away in a daze. He finally couldn't hold back the anger in his heart, stood up suddenly, and strode out. Huh. The sudden movement woke Yizan. He looked forward suspiciously, and frowned when he found that 3 ninjas wearing Uchiha clothes were blocking the road. Are you Uchiha Fugaku? Exactly. Fugaku raised his chin slightly. He was much taller than Yizan at the age of 14, and with that expression, he seemed dismissive. Fugaku does have disdain capital. As the captain of the Konoha Security Department, the elite Chunin, he doesn't care about the children in the ninja school. If it weren't for Shimura Danzo's reputation, he wouldn't even go out and instruct a few clansmen at will. Using the power of the police department to give Yizan an accusation and solve Yizan. But even if he had the name of Danzo, Fugaku would not be afraid. Uchiha and Danzo have never dealt with it. As the next patriarch of Konoha's largest clan, Uchiha, it would be no problem to give Yizan some hardship. Elite Chunin, and 2 elite genins, Uchiha Fugaku, you really look up to me. Yizan sneered, without any fear in his heart. He raised his finger and pointed to the 2 ninjas behind Fugaku, a golden light that was invisible to outsiders. A square force field enveloped everyone. Uchiha Fugaku dares to do something to me. What is your identity? Dare to do something to me. Give me face today, and I will give you 2 faces. Get out now, forget about this, otherwise. The fruit ability was activated, and as expected, 2 ordinary Uchihas, how dared to provoke Yizan. The 2 of them did not hesitate for a long time, then bowed to Fugaku, turned and left the alley. Trash. Fugaku's originally gloomy face became even more gloomy. He did not retain it. In his heart, these 2 were no longer qualified to stay in Uchiha. The reason why he brought people here is just to show his pomp. With the strength of his elite Chunin, is he still afraid of Yizan, the little guy in the ninja school? Fugaku is a person who loves face very much. All Konoha know that Makoto is his default woman, but Yizan's behavior of hooking up Makoto is to lose his face, and the behavior of forcing the 2 subordinates away makes Fugaku even more. He made up his mind to teach Yizan a lesson, at least, to break a hand. Okay, let's go. These 2 wastes are afraid of your Shimura family. I'm not afraid. You continue. I want to see if you have the ability to force me away. At that moment, the golden force field shattered, and the fragments in the air tumbled. It was true for a moment, and then condensed again. Only Yizan could see that the sky of the whole alley turned Yuhi color. Face Fruit's second ability, Duel. Don't give face, just duel. Yizan didn't know the effect of the second ability, because those who gave Yizan face could not trigger the second ability, and those who did not give Yizan face were all powerful guys. Yizan once used the face fruit on Sarutobi, Danzo and others. After triggering the second ability, Yizan was unable to defeat the opponent, and every time he failed to activate his ability. Only this time, Yizan provokes a person who is not afraid of Shimura Danzo, but his strength is not very strong, the elite Chunin. As long as he defeats the opponent, the mystery that has plagued him for 7 years can be solved. Looking at Uchiha Fugaku with a long face in front of him, Yizan's body gradually began to shake, not afraid. Rather excited. The excitement of challenging the strong, the excitement of detecting the ability of the fruit, and having the heart of the strong, he is no longer afraid. Chapter 5_Leapfrog Battle. Elite Chunin and Elite Genin. For example, Kakashi of Elite Jonin fights Iruka of Elite Chunin, and the fight is resolved in minutes. Shoo! The 6 kunai swept across the void and appeared in front of Yizan in an instant. Yizan was not in a hurry. Blue chakra emerged from the soles of his feet, tapped the ground, and his body floated into the air like a gust of wind, easily dodging the attack. Clang clang. The sound of 6 paths sounded almost at the same time, and kunai, who was flying in parallel, suddenly turned and shot into the air. To solve you, just one move is enough. Uchiha Fugaku stared at Yizan in midair, his eyes full of cruelty. Generally, ninjas will habitually jump into the air in the face of kunai attacks. Fugaku added 6 more powerful kunais to the back while sending out the kunai. He grasped the timing very well. In an instant, the kunai in the back happened to hit the end of the kunai in front, not only transmitting the force to the front of the kunai to increase the speed, but also turning the kunai upwards, forming a siege to Yizan. The face of the crisis, Yizan's face was calm. With his right hand on his waist, he silently took out a strangely shaped knife, and then glanced at Uchiha Fugaku not far away. The mocking eyes made Fugaku feel a little bad in his heart. Click. Blue light flashed, and a beautiful semicircle appeared in the air. The six-handled steel kunai turned into pieces and floated. Yizan landed on the ground unscathed, and the knife in his hand flashed with spiked chakras from time to time. This is a chakra knife. You actually know the wind-type chakra nature transformation. How is it possible? Genin, how can master nature transformation be possible? Fugaku was shocked. This time, he was really shocked. You know, as an elite chunin, he doesn't have master chakra nature transformation, but Yizan, who is like an ant in his eyes, has actually mastered such a high-end technology. Indeed, if no one teaches, no matter how talented Yizan is, it is impossible to master nature transformation, but he has a good father, Shimura Danzo. Danzo has no blood, can become a cage-level powerhouse. He is a super genius, but unfortunately, this world only recognizes the first place, and his light is covered by the more talented Sarutobi. Even so, Danzo's strength is also very strong, and the most important thing is that Danzo has only one attribute, that is, the wind attribute. Although he can cultivate additional attributes after becoming Jonin, Danzo believes that the wind attribute is the strongest, and he does not have additional attributes. After decades of immersion in it, his research and development of wind properties has reached the pinnacle. Wouldn't Danzo Rasengan? Rather than saying no, it would be better to say that he does not have innovative thinking in this regard, and after Minato created Rasengan in the future, he would not bother to learn an A-level ninjutsu. As for the futon wind style Rasengan that adds attribute changes, he will not be able to sage mode, as people use this trick purely to court death. In this era, if the three generations of Raikage represent the strongest Raiden thunder style, Sarutobi represents the strongest Kaden fire style, then Danzo represents the strongest futon wind style, and futon wind style alone. The use and understanding of the game is stronger than the three generations of Kazekage who play with sand and iron. As the son of Danzo, Yizan also has a good futon wind style strength. Due to the limitation of Genin chakra, Yizan only learned 2C level futon wind style, which does not mean that he is weak. At least he learned the nature transformation that only Jonin can do. What? Uchiha Fugaku, scared, want to use Sharingan? Yizan chuckled, and the mocking look made Fugaku even more angry. He snorted and said disdainfully, Sharingan? What are you kidding me? The garbage from the mere ninja school is eligible for me to use Sharingan. Very good. That's what you've been waiting for. Yi Xuanxu narrowed his eyes, and a glimmer of pride flashed in his pupils. Most people in the Uchiha family were naturally arrogant. As the next patriarch, Fugaku was surrounded by flattering people. His arrogance was stronger than anyone else's. Once something is promised, it is absolutely impossible to change it. The Uchiha family can become the strongest bloodstain in Konoha and even the ninja world. Naturally, it makes sense. Don't look at the original book. It seems that only Susanoo is awesome, but in fact, they can see through the flow of chakra, copy ninjutsu, see through attacks, and apply demonic illusion. Together, these abilities are perfect. Using provocation to force Fugaku not to use Sharingan, Yizan knew that it was time for him to take action. His strength was weaker than the opponent's. Futon wind style. Vacuum sphere. A few light blue wind bullets spit out from Yizan's mouth. Under his precise control of chakra, the wind circle spun, blocking Uchiha Fugaku's retreat in all directions. Instead, it has an amazing effect. Tips for carving bugs. Seeing the wind blowing, Uchiha Fugaku snorted disdainfully, quickly hand seal with both hands, leaned back, a violent chakra surging around him. The next second, the temperature suddenly became hot. A fireball with a diameter of 3 meters. Takes up an entire alley. Kaden fire style grand fireball. Rumbling. The wind bomb collided with the fireball and blew the surface of the fireball to pieces. However, the fireball did not shatter and disappear, but after swallowing the wind bomb, it moved forward quickly. Caught you. The gloomy voice sounded in his ears. Yizan was shocked, and found that he still underestimated Chunan's speed. He only felt a cold breath rushing up his back, and in the next instant, Kobo pierced Yizan's back. Boom! White fog dissipated, and Uchiha Fugaku's face was not surprised at all. He turned his head to look at the grass not far away, and found Yizan, who was holding the hand seal with both hands. Nice stand-in, but how many times can you dodge? No need to hide, I'm not necessarily worse than you in terms of physical skills. Chapter 6_Blast a Book. Boom! With a dull cracking sound, Yizan stomped on his feet. His whole body was like an arrow from a string, and he quickly approached Uchiha Fugaku with the breath of being brave and not afraid of death. Clang! A harsh sound rang out, and the oscillating sound waves spread around, pressing the flowers and plants to sway, and the dust piled up. The thorn-like wind attribute chakra is constantly flickering, and the strangely shaped chakra knife and kunai are completely still at this moment. Yizan took a big step with his right foot, leaned his arm forward to ultimate, and kept his weight on his right leg. Uchiha Fugaku's body leaned back slightly, and he held Kobo in his right hand to maintain a block. He relied on his chakra, directly used chakra to protect kunai from being broken. It's a good dash, but genin is genin, even if you can achieve nature transformation, even if you have a chakra knife, you are still genin. Is that so? Yizan sneered. His body suddenly burst into a light blue light, he bent his left foot slightly, and his knee suddenly exerted force. Boom! The ground shook, the cyan wind suddenly exploded, and a powerful thrust made Yizan's exhausted rush break out again. Uchiha Fugaku's pupils shrank sharply, the kunai wrapped in chakra shattered in an instant. The crisis came, he tried his best to shift his body, a burst of pain invaded his mind. He bit Kiba tightly, and rolled his head into the grass next to him. Boom! Yizan, wrapped in the strong wind, slammed into the wall behind Fugaku, knocking down the entire wall, and a lot of dust filled the air, covering it for half a day. What kind of ninjutsu was that just now? Futon, wind style, released all over the body. No, maybe it's just turning chakra into a wind attribute. What a scary kid. Fugaku stared at the dust, and was extremely vigilant. He knew that Yizan, who was protected by Futon, wind style, would not be knocked unconscious by the violent impact. As expected, a few seconds later, Yizan walked out of the wall unscathed. Came out. Yo, Fugaku, why are you injured? Yizan laughed, deliberately swiping his right arm with his left hand. Fugaku, do you dare to do such an action? Dare? Of course not. Although he escaped the serious injury, Yizan's deliberate blow still caused serious damage to Uchiha Fugaku. Starting from the back of his hand, a deep bloodstain extended to his shoulders, the flying skin, the overflowing blood, and the bones were clearly visible. This hand is temporarily unavailable. The second attack of the wind attribute blessing is incredible. Fugaku is only an elite chunin. Without Sharingan, his response was much slower, which made him angry and a little regretful in his heart. Thinking of this, Uchiha Fugaku took a light breath and slowly closed his eyes. When he opened it again, the pupil Yuhi and two black tomo circled around the eyeball. Sharingan. Didn't you say that you don't need a Sharingan to deal with the rubbish of the mere ninja school? I didn't expect that the arrogant Uchiha would be the next patriarch, and there would be a day when he didn't say anything. Boy, don't provoke me, you'd better think about how to beg me for mercy for a while, maybe, kneel down and kowtow a few times, and I will consider letting you go. The white medical bandage flew into the air and quickly wrapped the blood-stained right arm. Uchiha Fugaku stared at Yizan fiercely, with a yin seal on his left hand. He took a deep breath, and the space was hot again. Kaiden, fire style, fierce dragon flame jutsu. A huge fire dragon formed by the condensed flames quickly rushed towards Yizan. Yizan reluctantly jumped into the air. Seeing that Fugaku rushed up at the right time, he immediately turned his waist, and the wind element chakra was on his calf, and suddenly kicked to the side. Boom, 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 boom. Mid-air, Yizan and Uchiha Fugaku attacked each other. Fugaku, who opened the double Tomo Sharingan, was completely different from before. He could easily see through all Yizan's attacks. During the fight, Yizan gradually frowned. His strength was a notch lower than the opponent's, and his physical development was not as good as the opponent's. After several battles, his hands and feet were sore, and his strength gradually decreased. Must be yourself. Just when Yizan was thinking about countermeasures, the fire dragon on the ground hit a small tree and suddenly exploded. Boom boom boom. The terrifying flames shot up into the sky. Yizan and Uchiha Fugaku looked at each other, and they both raised their feet and kicked each other at the same time. Their feet touched each other, and at the same time, they bounced off with the help of each other's strength, narrowly avoiding the flames. The roaring flames burned and separated the alley. Because the flames were too fierce, even Fugaku with dual Tomo Sharingan could only vaguely see Yizan opposite the flames. He blinked his eyes, and the next second, facial changes. Ha! A sound of breaking through the air was covered up by the burning flames, and the pale blue light was fleeting. Fugaku didn't even think about it. His lower back pressed hard, his body fell down immediately, and at the moment when the chakra knife passed the tip of his nose, with a bang, the chakra knife turned into Yizan. Oops, it's the transformation technique. Fugaku secretly screamed in his heart. Chunin's strength is only 2 Tomo Sharingan. He was blocked by the flame before. He didn't see Yizan's actions clearly. He didn't expect that standing opposite the flame was Yizan's avatar, and I don't know when, the body has changed. Become a chakra knife. The scope of the flames was very large. After passing through this area, Yizan's skin also had burns of varying degrees. At this moment, he was in midair, staring at Fugaku with a ghastly expression on his face, and Fugaku completely leaned back in order to avoid the attack. Completely lost the ability to fight back. Boom! With all his strength, his elbow hit Fugaku's head accurately. Even if he was protected with chakra at the last moment, his fragile brain couldn't stand such a terrifying attack. Uchiha Fugaku only felt a sharp pain, his eyes went black, and he was completely lost. Awareness. The roaring flames were still burning. Yizan kept panting with his hands on his knees. Uchiha Fugaku fell unconscious and fell to the ground, blood dripping from his forehead. Originally, with Sharingan's ability, he could see through the transformation technique effect at the last minute. Yizan first used a clone technique at the moment of landing, and then at the moment of using the transformation technique, he remembered the new skill that he had comprehended. Heart. Heart of the strong white can increase the release speed and power by 100% in 1 second. Ninjutsu, taijutsu, demonic illusion are all effective. Since it is effective for all ninjutsu, wouldn't the effect of transformation technique be doubled? With this mentality, Yizan turned himself into a perfect chakra knife, coupled with the flames to confuse the vision, and finally successfully deceived Sharingan and defeated Uchiha Fugaku. Anyway, I won. Yizan was trembling with excitement. He knew that the answer that had been tangled for 7 years was finally coming to the surface. What effect did the second ability of the face fruit have? Yuhi color force field composed of fruit power instantly burst, as if a waterfall fell, and the force field fragments poured violently into Uchiha Fugaku's body. Yizan blinked, and the next second, he opened his mouth wide, and his eyes were as round as lanterns. Appeared in front of his eyes was an illusory book that emerged from Uchiha Fugaku's body. Chapter 7-Goldfinger and the Domineering Danzo. The familiar screen flashed white light, and Yizan sighed Kiba, looking a little tangled. This is his conscious space, but the familiar screen seems a little different. When the book on Uchiha Fugaku automatically drilled into his eyebrows, the screen in the consciousness space changed, and there were many more things and options. Kaden, Fire Style. Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu, Blue, Unbound, Upgradable, sold for 10 ingots. Clone, White Bound. Transformation Technique, White Bound. Substitute, White Bound. Futon, Wind Style. Vacuum Sphere, White Bound, Upgradable. Futon, Wind Style. Wind Cut, White Binding, Upgradable. The book that popped up on Uchiha Fugaku is this Kaden, Fire Style. Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu. Not only that, but this book is also blue. There are 5 colors in the skill book: white, blue, purple, orange, and gold. The further back the color, the stronger the power of ninjutsu. The skill book can be sold for ingots, but there is no mall in the screen options. Yizan speculates that the system may have something to do with the fruit of face. Because I am a skill book obtained by relying on the second ability of the face fruit, but the skill book has changed the entire screen, that is to say, the system is only responsible for the face fruit, and the face fruit, also it will be stronger because of the system. Understood. I probably get it. After figuring out these key points, Yizan suddenly realized that the fruit ability needs to be continuously developed by the ability person himself, but his fruit ability has not been improved at all over the years. In the final analysis, this system is the key to strengthening ability. Why don't you try it out? He wanted to do it. Yizan glanced at Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu and chose to sell it. Then he clicked on Futon Wind Style Vacuum Sphere and found that the upgrade requirement above happened to be 10 ingots. Click to upgrade. Yizan made a decisive choice, and then, the frame in the upper left corner recording the ingots changed from 10 to 0, and the Futon Wind Style Vacuum Sphere also changed. Futon Wind Style Vacuum Sphere blue bound full level. What? How come it's full? Yizan was embarrassed and felt that he had made a loss-making business. When he calmed down and thought again, he finally found some information. As I remember, Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu is AB level ninjutsu, and the above shows that it can be upgraded, while the Futon Wind Style Vacuum Sphere is AC level ninjutsu. If it is upgraded to blue, it is full level. If so, D level ninjutsu can only be white and cannot be upgraded at all. He looked at the 3-body technique, and sure enough, the 3-body technique showed that it could not be upgraded, which meant that his guess was correct. If my guess is correct, B-rank ninjutsu can be upgraded to purple, a ninjutsu can be upgraded to orange, then S-rank ninjutsu can be upgraded to gold. Thinking of this, Yizan was suddenly a little excited. He had followed Danzo to the root department for a few days, and had seen the ninja practice Kaden fire style. The Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu that Chunin cast was almost twice as weak as Fugaku. What does this represent? Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu representing that ninja is only white grade, and the Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu of Uchiha Fugaku has arrived in blue. If you upgrade Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu to full level purple, its power is comparable to a level ninjutsu, right? Maybe some people say that it is better to learn A-level ninjutsu directly to upgrade Fierce Dragon Flame Jutsu. But don't forget, the higher the level of ninjutsu, the more difficult it is to learn. For example, the S-level ninjutsu technique of Hiraishin is awesome, the second generation club, the Namikaze Minato club, and even Konoha's special Jonin, Shiranui Katsuma and the same city. Yizan guessed that Shiranui Shanjian and Juju can no longer progress by only practicing Hiraishin art to white, while Senju Tobarama and Namikaze Minato cultivated Hiraishin to orange. As for the highest level of S-rank ninjutsu, golden, maybe when they can travel freely through space without using the art, they will even reach it. The orange-gold color is too far away for Yizan. Now he is just a genin. Thinking of this, Yizan's consciousness returned to reality and found that Uchiha Fugaku was still on the ground, and the flames around him were burning. This idiot. Yizan shook his head, as if he remembered something, looked down at himself, his eyes lit up, and he suddenly had an idea. And at the moment, the Hokage building, the conference room. More than a dozen majestic ninjas sat in their seats, and the atmosphere in the conference room was a little dignified. Recently, the Nation of Wind has been operating quite frequently. More than half of the spies we stayed in the Nation of Wind have died. As usual, every country has spies, but the Nation of Wind is suddenly cleared on such a large scale, and I am a little worried. Sarutobi knocked the pipe in his hand, then put it to his mouth and took a hard puff. Became Hokage, and he feels more and more how heavy the responsibility of this position is. I don't know when it started, he is addicted to smoking. When the pressure is very high, only smoking can give him a breath. The Land of Winds was built in the desert, and the resources are scarce. This kind of change must be to provoke a war. I personally suggest that an elite team be sent to the Land of Winds to investigate the situation immediately, and give the right to kill first and then play. Danzo sat under Sarutobi. He was also surrounded by Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado. Danzo, don't make things so absolute, maybe there is a conflict within the country of wind. Sarutobi, who advocates peace, blocked Danzo's suggestion, or he didn't want this worst outcome. Ninja world has been peaceful for a long time. Konoha occupies the best land and is in a period of rapid development. The other 4 countries have been eyeing Konoha's land. Once a war occurs, it is very likely to trigger a chain reaction. Sarutobi, this time I support Danzo's idea. It's been 18 years since the last war, and the Land of Wind has been cultivating for so long and has almost recovered. Think about it from a different perspective. If I live in the barren Land of Wind, there will also be wars for resources. Quote. Kaharu Udatane's words made Sarutobi's brow furrow deeper, and he glanced at Homura Mitokado, also getting a positive answer from the other's eyes. Then what about you? What do you think? Sarutobi glanced at him. Uchiha, Hyuga, Ino Shikacho, Aburame and other large and small family patriarchs responded silently, obviously not saying anything. Sarutobi has long been accustomed to the moderate attitude of these families, but some people are not used to it. At this moment, among the 3 ninjas standing behind Sarutobi, one of them took a step forward, and his blonde hair was extremely beautiful. Teacher, Lord Danzo, the 2 advisors, the patriarchs, I think. Boom. There was a loud bang on the door, attracting everyone's attention, and what came into sight was a young man covered in burns and bloodstains. Yizan walked in step by step, he pursed his lips, did not speak, stared straight at Danzo, his eyes were full of grievances. Then, a terrifying coercion erupted, shocking everyone in the conference room except Sarutobi. Danzo stood up with a gloomy face, his eyes full of murderous intent. Son, tell me who hit it. Chapter 8_Bad Boy. Danzo loves his baby Pimple so much, and usually he is used to pampering him, but today he was beaten, and he was beaten so badly. He felt like he was going to explode with anger, and he could hardly control the power in his body. You must know that this is Konoha, his Danzo's territory, and someone actually bullied his son. As for Danzo's reaction, Yizan guessed right, he glanced silently at the conference room, and every patriarch he swept would shrink his neck subconsciously. Although Konoha executives were vaguely rumored that Danzo was doting on Yizan, they didn't expect to have reached this point. Seeing Danzo's posture, it was obvious that they were going to do it. This is a real cage-level powerhouse. Judging from the current Konoha, there is really no one who can stop Danzo except Sarutobi. Just as the patriarchs were complaining in their hearts, Yizan finally found his goal this time, wearing a black fan costume. Fugaku's father, the contemporary Uchiha patriarch, Uchiha Ida. It's him. Yizan pointed, and several patriarchs around Uchiha Ida subconsciously ducked to the side. Seeing Danzo's increasingly terrifying murderous intent, Uchiha Ida suddenly couldn't sit still. Lord Danzo, did your son recognize the wrong person? I've been sitting here today and didn't move, how could I beat him? As the Uchiha patriarch, although Ida was afraid of Danzo's actions, he couldn't lose Uchiha's face. The gap between the elite Jonin and cage level is huge, but this is the conference room of the Hokage building after all. If Danzo really does it, Sarutobi will stop it. Although Danzo is angry, he also knows that it is not easy to take action here, and he is puzzled. Seeing that his son's injury should have been caused just now, Uchiha Ida has been holding meetings here, how can he take action? Danzo's doubts did not last for a few seconds. When he saw Yizan deflated his mouth and said aggrievedly, "It was his son, Uchiha Fugaku, who beat me, an elite chunin who came to bully me, a freshman at John's school. Father, dead monkey, you have to call the shots for me. What? Die, dead monkey, cough, cough cough. Stinky boy, who are you calling a dead monkey? Sarutobi just took a breath, he was choked and coughed continuously, his eyes widened in disbelief, the white-haired man behind him laughed without any scruples. Ha 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 ha, dead monkey, formed too properly, dead monkey. Shut up, Jiraiya. Sarutobi turned his head and stared, so scared that Jiraiya covered his mouth with his hands, but he was still shaking his shoulders, obviously unable to restrain his laughter. Okay, Sarutobi, don't make trouble, let's settle my son's business first. Danzo's face was gloomy, cage-level chakra was still released, but the anger in his eyes disappeared quietly. Ghost bastard, how dare you act on me? After all, after being raised for so many years, Danzo has a good understanding of Yizan's character, and his son's self-esteem is very strong. As usual, if Yizan really suffers a big loss, it is absolutely impossible to come here for help, but to bite the Kiba barrier and get back on his own. Yizan's aggrieved expression, others may not be able to see anything, but after he was a little sober, he saw it at once. Danzo didn't reveal it. He wanted to deal with the Uchiha family for a long time. Today, he finally had a fair and honest opportunity to prevent Uchiha from bleeding again. He will not be Shimura today. When this kind of thing happened, the meeting could only be declared over. Neither Danzo nor Uchiha were good characters. The patriarchs of the major families asked Sarutobi to leave one after another, not to go into the muddy waters. The last one to leave was the patriarch of the Nara family. He glanced at Yizan with deep meaning. When he found that Yizan was looking over, he nodded slightly, then walked out of the door and took the door behind him. The end. Only Yizan, Sarutobi, Danzo, Uchiha Ida, and Sanin standing behind Sarutobi were left in the conference room. The quiet atmosphere was a little weird. Uchiha Ida was expressionless, Danzo still kept angry. Sarutobi looked left and right, knowing that neither side would agree, he sighed helplessly and came out to be the middleman. Shaozan, tell me, why did Uchiha Fugaku bully you? Sarutobi's tone was gentle, with a hint of concern in his eyes towards this old comrade in arms and old rival's son. Sarutobi knows that Danzo loves Konoha as deeply as he does, but Danzo's small-mindedness and extreme personality make him unfit to be the leader of Konoha's bright side. He never felt repulsive because Yizan was Danzo's son. Instead, he took the time to go to the ninja school. The main purpose was to teach Yizan, but it was a pity that Yizan was too arrogant, and always made him angry. As for Sarutobi's attitude, Yizan knew it, and because of this, he dared to kill the monkey, and the monkey's name was Sarutobi, and he was not afraid of the other party's anger. Thinking of this, Yizan rolled his eyes, his shriveled mouth pouted even higher, he blinked a few times, trying to squeeze out the tears, but when he found that he couldn't squeeze it out, he decided to give up. How could his little actions escape the eyes of the strong people present? Sarutobi and Danzo were covered in black lines, Uchiha Ida remained expressionless, Sunade had his arms clasped with interest, Jiraiya quietly gave a thumbs up, Orochimaru remained motionless and indifferent. Yi Shuing didn't care about the attitude of the people present, he cleared his throat and said to himself, well, it's actually like this, Makoto is my deskmate, because of my handsome appearance and elegant conversation and temperament, Makoto has always been I have always admired me and liked me. Just yesterday, Makoto wanted to be my wife because I liked me too much. You know, I am a very decent man, how could I abduct 7-year-old loli? In order to reject Makoto not to make her sad, I decided to use detour tactics, pretending to agree to her as my temporary girlfriend, and find an opportunity to dump her in the future, but since I became a girlfriend, I naturally wanted to hold hands. Star found, and then. Yizan kept giving speeches, eloquently and eloquently. Sarutobi on the side had already widened his eyes, and was shocked by Yizan's words. Even Danzo couldn't help twitching the corners of his mouth, and the word, well, appeared on his forehead. Yizan's appearance inherited his mother who passed away early. His mother was beautiful, his self-proclaimed handsome appearance was barely acceptable, but his elegant conversation and temperament. A decent man, confessed by Makoto. I bother. Chapter 9_Be my girlfriend. That's about it. In the empty conference room, half an hour had passed when Yi-zan finished telling the story with metaphors, exaggerations and other narrative techniques. The whole incident was described by Yi-zan as a turbulent and ups and downs, as if a struggle between two peerless powerhouses. In Yi-zan's narrative, Fugaku beat him up and went to work in the garrison. Yi-zan deliberately pretended to be in a coma. Luckily escaped. Lord Hokage, I don't think Shimura-zan's words can be taken seriously on this matter. I suggest calling Fugaku over and confronting Shimura-zan face to face. Uchiha Ida is very smart, and he also knows his son's IQ, and Sarutobi, a dove, is reconciled. As long as Fugaku refuses to admit it, with Sarutobi's character, it is very likely that big things will become small and small things will become small. Confrontation. Why? Danzo groaned angrily, very dissatisfied in his heart. He knew that if Fugaku was really brought in, the other party would never admit it. With Sarutobi's current strength and prestige, it was not impossible to forcibly resolve the conflict. He turned his eyes to Yi-zan, and when he saw Yi-zan's indifferent expression, he moved in his heart and thought silently. Why doesn't this brat care? Doesn't care about anything. Doesn't he care about the confrontation with Uchiha Fugaku? Or, did the brat lie? Lied from the beginning. After living together for so many years, the tacit understanding between the two was not bad. Danzo replayed the whole thing to the very beginning and thought about it carefully, only to realize that the wound on Yi-zan's body seemed terrifying, but it was actually just some skin trauma. But if he was beaten up by Uchiha Fugaku, so he wouldn't pretend to be so angry here, would he? Since the stinky boy has an idea, I don't care, Uchiha's compensation. And finally come forward to ask for it. Thinking of this, Danzo folded his hands in his sleeves, stepped back half a step, half closed his eyes, and instantly turned into a passerby. Danzo's sudden transformation surprised everyone present. Uchiha Ida thought that Danzo was afraid, not only did not react, but took a step forward. His face showed the unique arrogance of the Uchiha family. Lord Hokage, let's ask Fugaku to ask. To be clear, I don't think Lord Danzo wants to waste any more time here. Wasting your numbness and bullying my son, you can still run away. Danzo sneered in his heart, his eyes still half closed, as if he was indifferent to Uchiha Ida's words. He was calculating how to make the Uchiha clan pay the price for a while. The price could not be higher than Fugaku's life, and it could not be too low. For the superiors, this kind of game was the highlight. Here, Sarutobi sent an Anbu to the garrison to summon Uchiha Fugaku. At Anbu's speed, he could bring people in about 5 minutes. During this time, everyone could only wait for the confrontation in 5 minutes. The meeting room fell silent again. For a ninja who is good at forbearance, 5 minutes is nothing. Yi-zan was bored and turned his head to look around. Suddenly, as if he had discovered some shocking secret, he stared at the front left, the golden hair, the pretty figure, and the most important thing, the clothes without wrinkles. Wow, Sunade is in his 20s now, isn't he? He's still flat. No wonder Yi-zan wasn't surprised. Knowing that a girl's developmental period is in her teens to 20s, Sunade's ferocity has remained flat until now, and he doubts how the huge size will grow in the future. Yi-zan stared at Sunade's fierce contemplation, but didn't realize that Sunade was clenching his fists tightly at the moment. His eyes were full of anger. Damn brat. Sunade clenched his teeth, extremely annoyed. For any girl, it is a matter of inferiority to be flat, especially Sunade has already passed the development period, but the little fierce still shows no sign of increasing. Sunade's temper is very explosive. If Jiraiya or anyone stared at her fiercely, she would have punched her long ago, and she would never stop with a dozen bones. But at this moment, she had to suppress her emotions. It was a conflict between Shimura family and Uchiha's family. She knew that Sarutobi would not be easy to do. If she lost her temper now, things would become more confusing. Besides, how do you get angry with a 7-year-old? What if Yizan complained about being fierce in front of him? Don't you know Tong Yan Wuji? Tong Yan Wuji is a fart. From the moment Yizan entered the door, Sunade found that there was something wrong with this kid, and the eyes that were rolling were not a good thing at first glance. Sure enough, it's a little girl ghost. Sunade's fists clenched, and suddenly, her expression froze, and the next second, her face brightened with embarrassment. Yuhi. She found that this kid was staring at her murderous part like a wolf, and actually drooled. In the silent conference room, the sound of Sunade clenching his fists was a bit harsh. Everyone turned to look at Sunade, and following Sunade's shy and angry eyes, they saw Yizan's expression. Cough. Shaozan, pay attention to the image. Sarutobi coughed a few times, and finally woke Yizan. He wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth, not caring about this little embarrassment at all, but raised his head high and looked directly into Sunade's eyes. Sunade, I think I'm the most suitable man for you in this world. Give me a face, be my girlfriend, as long as you promise, I'll make you bigger. Chapter 10_Torment. An invisible golden light formed a square force field that enveloped the conference room. The next second, the golden force field turned into a dual, Yuhi color force field. Before Yizan could react, he felt a pain in his head. Ouch! Yizan cried out in pain, squatted down with his hands over his head. A small Yuhi bag popped up from his head, looking very funny. Click! Yuhi's color force field shattered, turned into light and penetrated Yizan's body, and the fruit ability failed to activate again. Yizan squatted on the ground with his head raised, looking at Sunade, who was holding his fists but was extremely beautiful, feeling helpless and a strong desire to conquer. Sunade of this era, so cute. Yizan found that Sunade did not wear a ninja vest today, which seemed a little casual. His eyes moved up, and up along Sunade's calf, and when he was about to see something, there was a dong, the head hit a chestnut again. Bastard, believe it or not, the old lady dug out your eyeballs. Gouging my eyeballs. Sunade, I'm your future man, how dare you do something to me? Bah, the little devil doesn't even have all his hair, and he still wants to be an old lady. People who like the old lady can go from Konoha to the land of water, just your little radish. Don't deceive the young man. Do you understand? With a rough temper like you, no one wants you even if you are beautiful, and you are still discharged from Konoha to the land of water. In this world, except for a domineering man like me, who would dare to want you? Don't speaking of other people, you ask the two men behind, did they dare to ask for you? Yizan pointed and immediately drew passers-by Jiraiya and Orochimaru into the scolding battle. The indifferent Orochimaru took a step back with a slight blank eye. Although Jiraiya wanted to say yes, when he saw Yizan's warning eyes, for some reason, he was a little scared, and shook his head subconsciously. This time, Sunade was really angry, and just as she was about to get angry at Jiraiya, a masked Anbu suddenly appeared in the conference room. Reporting Mr. Hokage, I did not find any trace of Uchiha Fugaku in the garrison. According to his colleagues, Uchiha Fugaku did not report to the garrison at all today. What? Impossible. With a loud shout, Uchiha Ida had an unbelievable expression on his face. Impossible. I saw him go out with my own eyes this morning, how could I not report to the garrison? Hum. Do you still need to ask why? You have done something wrong, don't you dare to show up. Yizan said timidly. He first glanced at Sarutobi, and after finding that Sarutobi frowned and didn't speak, he turned to look at him. Danzo. Obviously, at this time, Sarutobi has already agreed with Yizan's words, and the next thing will be left to the old fox Danzo. The atmosphere in the conference room instantly became solemn, and even Sunade closed his mouth tightly, daring not to cause trouble at such a time. Danzo, who had been closing his eyes for a long time, finally opened his eyes at this moment. His eyes were very flat, and there was a hint of coldness in the flat. Patriarch Uchiha, what are you going to do about this matter? Emptive, using rhetorical questions to force the other party to make a bid. Danzo's methods are very clever, and Uchiha Ida, who was wrong, also stepped into a very passive situation. Lord Hokage. Ida, let's not say that your son beat Xiaoshuan like this. Even Konoha's ordinary chunin can't just wantonly attack the students of the ninja school because of this trivial matter, right? This matter, it's Fugaku's fault. Sarutobi's words were already obvious. His neutral position completely turned to Danzo. In any case, Yizan was also grown up by him, and Sarutobi felt a little distressed when he was beaten like this. The two cage-level powerhouses of Konoha are standing on the same front, which makes Uchiha Ida know that he is a failure today. He sighed softly, and said helplessly, Sir Danzo, say it, you want how? I don't want to do anything. You know, the purpose of the root department is to protect Konoha. 10 years have passed, but there are not many people in the root department who can do it. Give me 5 Uchiha Jonin, this matter is even, _ Impossible. Lord Danzo, your request is a bit too much. Do you think that 1 chunin in Fugaku can be exchanged for 5 Jonin? Hey, I don't know if I can change it. But that's my request. I'm not selfish. All my actions are to protect Konoha. Your Uchiha clan has preserved the strength for so many years, why? At this time, not even willing to exert any force. It's not trying to usurp power, right? Danzo glanced at Sarutobi lightly, and sure enough, when he said the word usurpation, Sarutobi's face suddenly sank. You must know that Sarutobi has only taken over Hokage for 10 years at this time, and his strength, power, and means are all at their peak. If Uchiha has any ideas, he really dares to destroy Uchiha. Oops. Uchiha Ida was shocked, knowing that he had been tricked by Danzo. Of course the Uchiha family had the idea of usurping power, but now the Hokage family is extremely powerful, and Danzo is vaguely standing on Sarutobi's side. If a coup is launched, Uchiha must be killed. It was a loss, and he was trapped in a trap again. Uchiha Ida knew that he would have to pay the price today. 3 Uchiha Jonin. 4. 3 plus 2 elite chunin, no more. Deal. Chapter 11 _ Bears are brave. Uchiha Ida quelled the incident at the cost of 3 Jonin and 2 chunin entering the root. Looking at Yizan's scarred appearance, Danzo felt distressed, and despite Yizan's objection, the 2 root members sent Yizan to the hospital. Danzo originally wanted to accompany Yizan directly to the hospital, but the matter of the Kingdom of Winds still needs to be discussed, and Danzo is not easy to go. Unlike previous discussions, this time, Sarutobi kicked out all 3 of Uchiha Ida and Sunade, brought in Kaharu Udatain and Homura Mitokado, and started a secret meeting of 4 at the top of Konoha. And now, in Konoha Hospital. I said it all, it's just some skin injuries, don't be so nervous, okay? Konoha's medical level is very good. Due to Yizan's special status, the head of the medical department used his palm sage art to heal Yizan's injuries. In less than half an hour, Yizan's injuries were healed. Quote. 2 root members responded in silence until Yizan's injury completely improved, and the 2 of them disappeared without a trace in a flash. The members of root don't need affection. In this regard, Yizan did not persuade Danzo to change. He was never a virgin. Even in his previous life, he belonged to the type who can feed the whole family alone and not be hungry. Seriously, Yizan prefers root mode. This absolute command line tool works 100% at all times. After the treatment, Yizan thanked the minister, put on his clothes and prepared to leave the hospital. When Yizan walked to the gate of the hospital, there was chaos at the gate, and 2 ninjas broke in carrying a comatose wounded man. Quick, call your minister. This is our young master of Uchiha. If something goes wrong, none of you can be held responsible. hurry up and call the minister. The excited shouting showed the panic in the ninja's heart, and a nurse immediately went to report it. Soon, the middle-aged ninja who was treating Yi-zan just now arrived using the shunshu technique. He swiftly took over the injured person and stood up with his right hand. The bright green light illuminated the entire corridor. After a while, the injured person slowly opened his eyes. Cough, cough. Thank you, minister. After the injured person coughed and found himself in the hospital, he thanked the medical minister gratefully. As soon as he finished speaking, a familiar face came in front of him. You, Shimura-san. His eyes widened angrily, a surge of anger welling up in his heart. The injury he had just treated relapsed. He only felt a sweetness in his throat, and blood overflowed from his mouth. Tisk tisk tisk, Uchiha Fugaku, what's the hurry? Look at you, you are so mad that you're so angry that your blood is out. Yi-zan laughed, reached out and patted Fugaku's face. The bruises gathered so that he could only make a pitiful, woo, sound. No one dared to stop Yi-zan's behavior. The two Uchiha people who brought Fugaku to the hospital happened to be the wastes who were suppressed by Yi-zan's fruit power at that time. The head of the medical department knew Yi-zan's identity and understood that they belonged to the Shimura family and the Uchiha family. Contradiction, dare not easily persuade. Hey, it's boring, this is the next patriarch that Uchiha has carefully cultivated. It's rubbish. Yi-zan smiled and shook his head and stood up. In the next instant, his smiling face disappeared, like a god on the top, looking down at Fugaku indifferently. Don't provoke Makoto in the future. If I hear any bad news, it won't be as simple as getting hurt next time. After leaving the hospital, Yi-zan strode down the road with his head held high, walking briskly and in a good mood. Just now, while Uchiha Fugaku was injured, he used the first ability of the face fruit to deter him. Of course, the face fruit is not a panacea. If Fugaku breaks through to become Jonin, or directly becomes the Uchiha Patriarch, or becomes a missing nin, the deterrent effect of the face fruit will disappear, but in a short period of time, Uchiha Fugaku will not dare to attack Yi-zan. What's the action? My hometown, I live in this village. Because of the injury, Yi-zan didn't have to go to school today. He hummed a little tune and walked through the crowded main street, and then through the sparsely populated alley. When he turned right and was about to turn into another street, a fragrant wind filled his nostrils. Before Yi-zan could react, he felt that something was strangling his neck, and his body was pulled over involuntarily. Boom! With a muffled sound, his back slammed into a brick wall. Yi Xuanyan grinned, and the pain didn't calm down for a long time. As the saying goes, the former murderer is full of flesh on the back. Everything happened too suddenly, and Yi-zan relaxed his vigilance, and even chakra didn't have time to run. This solid bump hurt him miserably. It's that bastard who dares to attack the young master. I wonder if the young master has a backing. Yi-zan was furious, but the next second, he blinked his eyes blankly, and what caught his eye was a beautiful face. Sunade. HMPH. Little pervert, I didn't expect it. Sunade stared at Yi-zan viciously, with complicated light flashing in his amber pupils. Isn't it domineering and arrogant to be my man before? What? The location of the two was at the corner of the unmanned street. In order to prevent Yi-zan from escaping, she put one hand on the wall, bent her body slightly, flowing air, and Jonin released chakra, trying to suppress Yi-zan in her aura. Sunade didn't know that her behavior was a different feeling in Yi-zan's heart. Yi-zan stared blankly, and a storm surged in his heart. I was slammed by the wall. Yuhi, lips close at hand, Yi-zan subconsciously swallowed his saliva. He had been doted on by Danzo unconditionally for many years, and Yi-zan became more and more courageous, as if in Konoha, there was nothing he dared to do. What, little pervert, don't dare to speak. Yi-zan was dumbfounded. Sunade thought that Jonin's aura was scaring him. She kept a victorious smile at the corner of her mouth, and brought her head closer again. Would you like to apologize to my sister? Apologize, my sister may forgive you, or else. Hum hum hum. Sunade smiled and pretended to be vicious, but at this moment, Yizan couldn't hear Sunade's voice for a long time. Boo! Chapter 12 _ Kiss and Run, really exciting. Kiss and run, it's so exciting. The fragrant food was steaming hot. Yizan smashed his mouth, still savoring the taste on his lips. Fortunately, she didn't react at the time, so she let me run back home, but, with her character, it seems like she will kill me, right? Thinking of this, Yizan gradually frowned, feeling refreshed for a while. Cremation tomorrow the field, if you don't do something, really seems to be the rhythm. Forget it, don't wanta, let's eat first. Yizan put his hands together and said, I'm starting, then picked up the chopsticks and snorted. The sunset outside the window gradually fell down the hill, and the purple Yuhi sunset also dimmed. A gust of breeze blew, and the potted plants on the windowsill swayed slightly, as if they were laughing and playing. Everything seemed so warm. Today is the dish cooked by the chef. Compared with Danzo's level, it is not only rich in content, but also more delicious. Danzo didn't eat a lot, so he just finished the dish, and after silently eating up a bowl of rice, he stopped using his chopsticks. He was waiting for Yizan to finish eating, and when Yizan finished eating, he packed up the dishes and took them to the kitchen for cleaning. Although he felt awkward, after so many years, Yizan gradually accepted Danzo's doting. He chewed the food and swallowed it whole. The battle with Uchiha Fugaku was too exhausting, and Yizan felt very hungry. Eat slowly, and no one is robbing you. If it's not enough, I'll make it for you. There are still some ingredients in the refrigerator. Do you want to eat sushi or bibimbap? No, what the chef cooks is much better than what you make. Even if there is not enough food here, I don't think I can eat what you make today. Yizan swallowed the food in his mouth hard, mercilessly hit the road. Danzo didn't get angry, but rubbed his head with a smile and continued. It's been a bit busy at this time. I discussed with Sarutobi and the others for a long time today. Maybe there is something going on in the land of wind. Wait for this time to pass. Wait for me when you are free. I will ask the cook for advice. Quote. Yizan didn't answer, but kept eating with his head down. He was very moved. It was a kind of emotion that came from the unconditional sacrifice of relatives. By the way, there is something I haven't asked you yet. What's going on today? Uchiha Fugaku really came to beat you. You kids still lied to me. I didn't lie to you, that idiot didn't know what went crazy. He blocked me in a very remote alley this morning. He didn't use Sharingan at first and underestimated my strength. Later, when he used Sharingan, his right hand was checked. The carrot knife was scratched, and it was a fluke. Quote. Win. No way, even if he is injured, Uchiha Fugaku has the strength of an elite chunin, just you. Danzo glanced at Yizan suspiciously, then seemed to understand something, with a look of sudden realization on his face. As expected, it's my son. Hey, don't put gold on your face. It's not your credit, it's the result of my own hard work. I'm a genius, do you understand a genius? I understand, I am also a genius, you are just more genius than me. Danzo smiled comfortably. I and Sarutobi have been competing since childhood. When I was 7 years old, it was Genin. When Sarutobi was 7 years old, it was better than me. But even if I combine with Sarutobi, I can't beat the elite chunin. Quote. Sure enough, you have been weaker than dead monkeys since you were a child. Quote. Danzo was speechless, and Yizan continued to eat the big meal. Suddenly, a light flashed across his mind. Yizan's eyes lit up, and his slightly wrinkled brows finally relaxed. You hacked 3 Jonins from Uchiha Ida today, how about lending me one? Lend you? It's not impossible, but you have to tell me what you're going to do. Danzo narrowed his eyes and breathed a sigh of relief. He noticed Yizan's frowning brows since he got home, and wanted to ask directly, but with his son's character, he would never tell himself. Yizan's brows finally stretched after so long, but the reason for the stretch was to ask himself to borrow Jonin, which is not a trivial matter. After all, Jonin is a very important strategic resource in any country. Yizan also knew that although Danzo spoiled himself, this kind of thing involving strategic resources would not be given completely unconditionally, at least he had to make it clear. For this, Yizan had nothing to hide. He thought for a moment, and slowly recounted the matter. Actually, it's not a big deal. I was caught by Sunade when I was going home today. She wanted me to apologize, but I just like pretty girls. I couldn't hold back for a while, and forced her to go. Danzo. The dark clouds gradually blocked the moonlight, the earth was dark, and the wind at night was a bit strong, blowing the sand and dust on the ground, making the windows rattle. In a house north of Konoha, Sunade lay quietly on the bunk. Normally, she should fall asleep at this time, but she tossed and turned and couldn't fall asleep, and fragments of the day kept flashing in her mind. She was kissed by Yizan, just when she was full of confidence and thought the other party would apologize. This is Sunade's first time. As a girl in her 20s, she has always fantasized about a handsome and graceful man who would take away her first when in a land of cherry blossoms. Duo was taken away, but the other party was a 7-year-old boy. Although he was cute and handsome, he was 1,000 miles away from the ideal man in her mind. Sunade bit Kiba tightly, both angry and aggrieved. She really wanted to give this boy a lesson, so that this bad boy would never forget it. A lesson. Thinking of this, Sunade clenched his fists subconsciously, and Yizan's wicked smile when he escaped again appeared in his mind. The sudden situation today left Sunade's mind blank for a long time, and it was because of this that Yi Xuaning escaped from Sunade's hands. Bastard, stinky brat, do you think it's safe to run away today? Take away my first when, it won't be like that. You wait for me. Fantasy caught Yizan and inflicted all kinds of torture. An evil smile gradually appeared on Sunade's face. After the anger disappeared, tiredness flooded into her brain. She yawned cutely and slowly fell asleep holding her beloved pillow. It's just tomorrow, stinky brat, you're finished, Chapter 13_save. Life. The morning sun was warm and comfortable. Yizan was walking alone on the way to school, as if nothing had happened. If you look closely, you can see that his steps are steady, the muscles in his back and legs are tensed, and he seems ready to escape at any time. Just when Yizan turned into an alley and was about to take a shortcut. Call out. The familiar fragrance wafted into the nostrils. Yizan didn't even think about it, and immediately turned the chakra of his whole body into the wind attribute and burst out. He threw himself forward with a grunt, rolled with the flow, and lifted himself up with skillful control of the wind. He stepped on the ground, like an arrow from the string, and rushed out 12 meters away in an instant. Only then did he turn to look at the person who attacked him. Sure enough, it was the beautiful Sunade-sama. I said Sunade, we used to have no grudges in the past, but now we have no grudges, so don't you have to? Yizan opened a pair of watery eyes and put on a cute and innocent look. If Sunade hadn't already known Yizan's bastard, maybe he will really be deceived by this cute look. Humph, you little pervert, you're pretty good, no wonder you can beat Uchiha Fugaku, but don't even think about acting in front of me and taking away my mother's first when. What you say today, I won't let you go. Yizan narrowed his eyes and was a little surprised. Of course he knew that Sunade would not let him go. What he cared about was another sentence. How do you know I beat Uchiha Fugaku? HMPH, who doesn't know about the high-level Konoha now? You were majestic yesterday, and you vomited blood from Uchiha Fugaku in the hospital. If it wasn't for the teacher's gag order, let alone the major Konoha families, the whole Konoha would know about it. Yizan touched his head, only to remember that he had done such an arrogant thing yesterday. He didn't know yet that Konoha's large and small families had already paid strong attention to him, especially Uchiha, who had suffered a secret loss. He is regarded as a thorn in the flesh. You know, Yizan's fraud yesterday cost Uchiha 3 jonins. If Fugaku really beat Yizan, it's okay to say, but when Uchiha Ida learned that Fugaku was lying in the hospital seriously injured and unconscious, he suddenly realized that he was killed by Shimura and his son. Pit. Playing the arrogant Uchiha, of course, has to suffer the consequences, but Yi-zan doesn't care. With Danzo around, Uchiha can't deal with him above board. Uchiha didn't dare, but Sunade dared. Looking at Tsunade's malicious eyes, Yi Xuanju Yi tightened, and finally couldn't help shouting out. Help! Life! Yay! He was so cute calling him for help, and even Tsunade couldn't help showing a hint of soft-heartedness, but when he thought of his first when being taken away by the little villain in front of him, his soft-hearted disappeared instantly, and his expression changed to that of an S-type witch again. Hum hum hum, little rascal, shout, keep shouting. Tsunade slowed down and stepped in, her expression wickedly wicked, creating an unassailable pressure. Tsunade didn't realize it. Yi-zan seemed to be scared, but his pupils were excited. He pretended to be scared and kept backing away, and he kept saying words of struggle. Tsunade, don't come here again. I really called people. Hum hum hum, stop struggling, no one will come to save you even if you cry out today. Break your throat, come and save me. Seeing Yi-zan's desperate appearance, Tsunade felt more at ease. She was about to walk over to catch Yi-zan, but the next moment. Call out. The icy breath stretched from the back of the spine to the brain. Tsunade's pupils shrank sharply, his back twisted at the same time, a green light bloomed, and chakra-enhanced strength slammed backward. Boom! The earth shook, collapsed and shattered, forming a deep pit with a diameter of 5 meters. The terrifying cracks continued to extend all around, until the front of Yi-zan's feet, which gradually stopped. Huh, is this chakra-enhanced strength? As expected of Tsunadeheim, I finally got a lot of insight today. A voice appeared beside Yi-zan. Blood Yuhi, 3 Tomo slowly turning. Number 1, are you sure? Sorry, Lord Zan, I'm not sure. This person is one of the Jonins that Uchiha Ida gave to the root, because Danzo has the mantra of absolute control over people, so once he enters the root, he will be completely loyal to Danzo, and even a bad thought will be punished. The curse seal backfired and disappeared. While Yi-zan was talking to number 1, Tsunade also came out of the smoke and dust. She stared at Yi-zan fiercely, and then smiled, as if the whole world became dazzling. Little villain, I have to admit that you are very smart, but unfortunately, you underestimate me. Although both are Jonin, the Uchiha behind you is not my opponent at all. After Tsunade finished speaking, he no longer retained his strength and completely released the chakra of the elite Jonin. Boom! The earth shattered again. Yi-zan was in a trance, he didn't even see a shadow, and there was a fierce collision in the air. Boom! 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 The terrifying chakra collision caused a violent wind, and the wind whipped up dust and swept away Yi-zan's eyes. And figure 1. As expected of an elite Jonin, with my strength, I can't even see a shadow. Sure enough, Tsunade had given up before. Yi-zan sighed. Although he reached the elite genin at the age of 7, the future Kakashi will become a genin at the age of 5, a chunin at the age of 6, and a jonin at the age of 12. If it wasn't for the blows of Obito and Rin, Kakashi gave up on himself, Konoha said. Maybe there will be another White Fang. Just when Yi-zan was thinking about it, the battle in midair finally changed. Click. With a soft sound, the specially made weapon finally could not withstand Tsunade's strange force and shattered. Although Tomo Sharingan could see through Tsunade's attack, but because the weapon was accidentally broken, seeing Tsunade's fist attacking again, he was caught off guard, and number 1 could only gather all the chakras in his abdomen. Boom! The terrifying green light penetrated number 1 foot's abdomen and spread for 5 meters before gradually disappearing. Number 1 bleeds from the corner of his mouth, and flew out like a cannonball, smashing hard in front of Yi-zan. Chapter 14 From the beginning, it was calculated by the bear children. Master Zan. How are you? You can still hold on. No. One took a few breaths and slowly stood up from the ground. Danzo's control spell began to corrode the opponent from the root of his mind. Since number 1 joined the route yesterday, his mind still maintains the emotions of a normal person. Since, even if Sunade is stronger than number 1, it is impossible to defeat the opponent in a few seconds, but Uchiha is not good at physical skills. If it is not to protect Yizan, number 1 will choose guerrilla warfare. Even if he can't beat him, he can still escape. Tsunade's last punch received a bit of strength. After number 1 used all chakra to defend, the injury was not light or serious. Watching number 1 stand up again, Tsunade squeezed his fist and took a step toward him. Get out of the way. No, I am under orders to protect Lord Zan. Unless you step on my body, I will not let you hurt Lord Zan in the slightest. Tsunade was annoyed by number 1's words. She narrowed her eyes slightly, and a murderous aura emanated from her pupils. I just showed mercy. If you don't let me, I don't mind killing you. This is Lord Danzo's order, and I won't let it go. Humph. Danzo, since you won't let it go, don't blame me for being rude. This time, Tsunade really didn't intend to show mercy. As a student of Sarutobi, the princess of the Senju clan, although Tsunade would not kill Yizan, killing one of Danzo's subordinates was not a big deal. The terrifying chakra formed a green light around Tsunade's fist. She was ruthless in her heart, and her feet slammed on the ground and rushed over. Wherever she passed, the rocks shattered, which was extremely terrifying. With Mr. Sarutobi here, Danzo shouldn't be too embarrassed for me, and the cause of the incident is that the little bastard took my first when I, Senju Tsunade, are not so easy to bully. Thinking of this, Tsunade's heart was even more murderous, her eyes fixed on number 1, and she would not stop until she killed the opponent. However, the next moment, Tsunade's face changed greatly, his pupils narrowed to ultimate. Little bastard, get out of the way. In her sight, Yizan pulled the injured number 1 away and stood in the position before number 1. His behavior was so unexpected that neither Tsunade nor number 1 could react. This is Tsunade's full blow, let alone Genin, even Jonin can't survive this blow. Tsunade never thought of killing Yizan, she just wanted to punish Yizan well. Don't say that Yizan is Danzo's son. What will be the consequences of killing Yizan? Just from the heart, it is impossible for her to kill a 7-year-old child, although the other party has taken away her first win, but a woman, for the guy who took his first time will always have a strange feeling. No, don't let the little bastard have an accident. Thinking of this, Tsunade forcibly suspended the chakra in his body. Such a huge chakra suddenly paused. Tsunade felt pain all over his body, and a smear of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. Boom! The slender and pure white fist hit Yizan fiercely in front of him, losing the chakra blessing. Tsunade's punch was like an ordinary person's attack. Although it hurt Yizan, it did not cause any damage. Little bastard, do you want to die? A loud roar shook Yizan's eardrums. He looked at Tsunade silently, and after realizing that Tsunade didn't notice, he quietly put away the seal of the substitute technique. Tsunade, are you nervous about me? Bastard, I'm nervous Konoha. If you die, that guy Danzo doesn't know what to do crazy, how can I be nervous about you? Tsunade still yelled, she didn't realize it herself, there was a slight hint in her tone untraceable fluctuations. Tsunade didn't notice the fluctuation in his tone, but Yizan was keenly aware of it. The two looked at each other for a long time, and Yizan said softly, actually, if I die in the hands of the woman I love, I don't regret it. Who is the woman you love, you little pervert? Tsunade controlled his tone, but his body was trembling. She wondered why the other party's words made her heart feel soft and crisp. Seeing Tsunade stunned, Yizan's mouth twitched into a wicked smile again. He suddenly held Tsunade's pretty face, put his head together, and choked Tsunade's beauty lip with lightning speed. Boom! A surfing wave broke out in a remote alley. Standing on the roof of another alley, Yizan smiled, smacked his mouth, turned around, and walked towards the ninja school. In the alley, the two Uchiha Jonin fought together with Sunade, and from the very beginning, she was tricked by Yizan. Recalling that last night, when Yizan told Danzo about his forced win Sunade, Danzo directly sent two Jonin to protect Yizan without thinking about it. Danzo knew about Sunade. At least two Uchiha Jonins were needed to fully protect Yizan from Sunade's wrath. Chapter 15_Small Disputes. Today I will tell you about the basic theory of kunai throwing. First of all, Grade 1 of the ninja school, the head teacher, Mr. Duanmu, was explaining the basics. Although the children of the family had learned it before going to school, most of the class were children from ordinary families who had never been exposed to this knowledge. Among the civilian students, Namikaze Minato is the hardest working student. He listens to the teacher's lectures carefully in every theoretical class, writes down some notes in his notebook from time to time, and gets second place in every monthly exam. Uchiha Makoto, who has a gentle personality. She is smart and has learned this knowledge in her family. She still listens carefully in class, studied it twice, and got full marks in every theory test. But today is different from usual. The first class has been in 20 minutes. Makoto is staring at the podium with his head propped up. If you look closely, you will find that Makoto's eyes are in a trance, and his mind has long been away from studying. Shimura-san didn't come today. Makoto thought blankly, feeling a little nervous. I went home yesterday and heard from the clan that he had a fight with brother Fugaku. Is he injured? Why didn't he come to school? Makoto felt a sore nose and felt very guilty. Of course she knew what Uchiha Fugaku thought about her, and she also knew that Yizan fought with Uchiha Fugaku because of herself. In her heart, she always regarded Fugaku as her brother, and for Yizan. If Shimura has an accident because of me, what should I do? Makoto thought blankly, and felt a strong dissatisfaction with Uchiha Fugaku in her heart. She never thought of being Fugaku's wife, but she was in a big family, and she a small woman can only become a political bargaining chip for the family. Seriously speaking, Makoto's sense of Yizan is not bad. Yizan is handsome and cute, and he makes her laugh all day long. Although he occasionally does the behavior of eating tofu, Makoto has never resisted it. He is just shy by nature. It always makes outsiders feel that Yizan is forcing Makoto. Boom. A piece of chalk slammed hard on his head. Makoto, ouch, and tightly covered his forehead. Uchiha Makoto, listen carefully to me in class, and if this happens again, get out of here. Teacher Duanmu's roar made Makoto feel aggrieved, and he thought that Yizan's life and death were uncertain. Suddenly, a splash of water sparkled in her eyes. She bit her lip and lowered her head to prevent tears from overflowing from her eyes. I'm sorry, teacher, I will listen to the class carefully. The slightly crying apology made several students in the class stunned. Just when Duanmu wanted to reprimand, Nara Shikaku and Namikaze Minato stood up at the same time. Huh. The two looked at each other unexpectedly, and saw the same meaning in each other's eyes. They nodded to each other and said to Mr. Duanmu, Teacher, give Shimura a face and stop teaching Makoto. Giving face is Yizan's mantra. After Shikaku and Minato finished speaking, they looked at each other again, but they didn't expect that they had such a tacit understanding with each other. Teacher Duanmu was stunned by the words of the two, and finally remembered Yizan, who had not come to class for 2 days. Dignified Chunin, the teacher of the ninja school, was threatened by the students. Mention that Duanmu has the strength of Chunin, even if the teacher and the student have a superior subordinate relationship, they cannot be threatened by the students. Teacher Duanmu's anger continued to build up, and the whole class saw that slightly grim face. When Minato and Shikaku found that Teacher Duanmu's anger was directed at Makoto, they immediately became nervous. Civilian ninjas hate big family ninjas. This is a problem in any country. Unless it is a genius, the absolute inequality of resources can absolutely determine the life of a ninja. Teacher Duanmu is a commoner ninja. If he had suppressed his anger in his heart before, then at this time, his backlogged emotions were completely detonated by Shikaku and Minato. Shimura's house, Uchiha's house, Nara's house, you people. The more he thought about it, the more angry he became. Teacher Duanmu's face became more and more hideous. Just as he was about to attack, the classroom door was kicked open with a bang. Yo, everyone, good morning. Yizan waved his hand with a smile, as if he had long been used to the feeling of being in the spotlight, so he naturally walked into the classroom and sat in his own seat. What's wrong with this? Of course, Yizan felt the strange atmosphere in the classroom. He glanced at Teacher Duanmu with vacant eyes. The cold breath made Teacher Duanmu's anger freeze, as if suffocating, causing his face to change suddenly, and his forehead was instantly covered with sweat. No, nothing. Teacher Duanmu twitched the corners of his mouth, pretending to be kind, then turned around, picked up the chalk, and wrote, ZZZ, on the blackboard. All the students listened carefully to the class and continued the content just now. The third skill of the kunai throwing technique requires everyone. The class returned to calm again, as if nothing had happened. Yizan put his hands on his cheeks, tilted his head, and stared straight at Makoto. The scorching eyes made Makoto very uncomfortable. Gradually, a dizziness appeared on his pretty face. Don't be sad, it's okay, I'm back. Who is sad? I just. Before Makoto could finish his words, his body shook suddenly, and Yuhi's dizziness completely covered his cheeks. She lowered her head nervously, buried her head under the desk, and saw a hand gently covering her big leg. Chapter 16_Assassinate. 10 days passed. Yizan lived a boring and leisurely student time. To school, bullying Makoto, leaving school, practicing, sleeping, the time passed slowly like this for 2 months. Yizan lived a leisurely and comfortable life, and Konoha looked very calm, but if you look carefully, you can find that groups of guard troops appear on the street from time to time, but occasionally there is no task, and the jonin who are shopping and eating in Konoha are almost lost trace. The second ninja war should be about to start, right? Yizan was right. As early as more than a month ago, the 4 high-level Konoha members reached a consensus, with Orochimaru as the leader and Tsunade Jiraiya as the vice-captain, leading 30 jonin to quietly go to the Land of Winds to investigate the trend. It is good to say that the Kingdom of Wind has no action. Once the Kingdom of Wind wants to provoke a war, Konoha must respond as quickly as possible, not only to guard against the Kingdom of Wind, but also the Kingdom of Water, the Kingdom of Earth, and the Kingdom of Thunder. But also to deal with, defense or win over. Anyway, in the First Ninja World War, Konoha was the only victor, obtained the best site, the best quality resources, you don't need to think about it, and the other 4 countries are watching Konoha. Everything about Konoha has nothing to do with Yizan for the time being. At this moment, he is happily heading to school. When he thinks of Makoto Yuhi's fluttering face, Yizan has a strong excitement in his heart. Bullying little loli or something, it's really cool. Yizan swears that he is not lolicon, because he is a true beauty control. What royal sister, queen, princess sick, little loli, Yizan likes them all. Pity that it has been more than a month since Sunade left Konoha, and the route that protected Yizan was also evacuated by Danzo. Thinking of Danzo's words that day, Yizan pouted and felt a little unhappy in his heart. Konoha's situation is not very good. I will take back the route people, and when Sunade returns, I will send them to protect you. Cut. People with roots are not at the point of last resort and will not use them at all. You think I am stupid? Although Yizan was dissatisfied, he did not reject Danzo's arrangement. He knew that Danzo's purpose of evacuating the protection personnel was to hope that Yizan would not become lazy and dependent because of someone's protection. But seriously, the week I played cat and mouse with Sunade really didn't improve my strength. If Sunade hadn't gone to the Land of Wind to do a mission, I'd still be playing cat and mouse with her right now. Yizan smiled, feeling a little smug in his heart. In the past month or so, Yizan has been practicing frantically. Although he has not broken through to become Chunin, he has gained control over taijutsu, ninjutsu and chakra because of his actual combat with Danzo. Not a small improvement. Perhaps because of the soul crossing in the previous life, Yizan's spiritual power is 3 times that of ordinary people, and with the increase of age and hard training, it will continue to increase. In this world of Hokage, is spiritual power important? Of course, it is important. Both chakra control and chakra cultivation are closely related to spiritual power. Because of Yizan's outstanding chakra control, in this month, Yizan finally learned a relatively advanced thing. The second attribute practice. This is the ability that only Jonin can cultivate, but Yizan himself is a dual attribute talent. He inherited the wind attribute of Danzo, and another attribute, the thunder attribute of his mother who died early. Danzo is a single attribute, not Raiden thunder style, nor the nature transformation of thunder attribute. For his own children, Danzo has the cheek to go to Sarutobi and ask for a person, that is, Konoha's strongest Raiden thunder style master, Anbu minister, Hatake Tsukumo. Of course, because of the country of wind, the situation in the entire ninja world is not very optimistic. As a professional exploration and assassination unit, Anbu's task is even more arduous. Fortunately, there has been no war yet. Although Hatake Tsukumo is busy, he still commutes to work normally. He accepts Danzo's request and guides Yizan to practice every night after 6 o'clock. I don't know what happened to Minato and Shikaku. It seems that after I came back that day, they became good friends. Yesterday, Choza celebrated his birthday and invited Minato and Makoto to eat barbecue. It's a pity, it's a busy time. I don't have any time to study Raiden thunder style. Yizan shook his head, feeling a little regretful. Without Sunade and without Uchiha's harassment, it was the best time to get closer to Makoto, but it's a pity that Yizan is too busy, let alone dinner. He doesn't even have time to go home together. Every day after school, he ran home in a hurry. He only had 10 minutes to eat, and immediately went to Hatake's house to study cultivation. Unlike Danzo Sarutobi, Hatake Tsukumo is a serious person and will not show mercy. Once Yizan was 10 minutes late because of diarrhea, the ending was, "Hey, forget it, I will cry too much, Hatake Tsukumo, I promise, I will definitely educate your son well in the future. Kunzi is not too late to take revenge for 10 years, if you can't get over you, I will let your son know why war is like this Yuhi. And the old man, I remember you too." Thinking of Danzo, Yizan felt angry. Isn't it just that you don't give you face when you complain about it? Do you need to embarrass me like this? I'm chasing girls, it's not for the sake of inheriting the Shimura family, Although, even though I'm still a small bean, greater than less than. Yizan thought about it all the way. Suddenly, the chill of death poured into his spine. Yizan was slightly shocked, as if he fell into an ice hole, and his whole body exploded with chills. Call out, call out, call out. 3-handled Kuwu blocked Yizan's retreat from 3 directions. Kuwu was extremely fast, incredibly fast. Yizan's face changed greatly. He didn't expect that in Konoha, someone would really dare to assassinate him. Heart, brain, spine, directly kill me. Chakra didn't have time to flow, and the avatar technique could not be used. When the Kyojin was fired, Yizan's eyes narrowed, his body turned halfway, and his hands were open, like a butterfly, shuttled in the rain. Rats who hide their heads and show their tails, get out. Yizan stood indifferently, his right arm, left leg, and neck were dripping with blood. Chapter 17_Kill the 2. Chunin. 2 men and a woman jumped from the roofs around the alley. The 2 men were wearing ordinary coarse clothes, and the woman was wearing a green vest. Little Izumi teacher. Yizan was horrified, and then seemed to understand something. A flash of enlightenment flashed in his eyes. I didn't expect that all countries have penetrated Konoha to this level. Tell me, which village are you from? Little Izumi Tsubaki, the teacher of Class B in the 1st grade, is about 30 years old, with a delicate body, fair skin, and a medium face. In the ninja school, she is liked by many male teachers. If there was only little Izumi Tsubaki alone, Yizan would guess that a certain family in Konoha wanted to deal with him, but the other two men wore coarse clothes, which meant that they were spies disguised as ordinary residents. Naturally, little Izumi Tsubaki also a spy. Perhaps she felt that the victory was in her hands, but little Izumi Tsubaki didn't do anything directly. She covered her mouth and chuckled, with a smirk that seemed like nothing. Shimura is really smart. She guessed the identity of our spy so quickly. However, which country do we belong to? Is it really that important? Anyway, after a while, you will be dead. Dead. Well, it's true, I'm going to die in a while, but even if I die, let me be a sensible ghost, give me face, and tell me about your village. Little Izumi teacher is so beautiful, she won't even die before I die. Are your last wishes unfulfilled? When Yizan praised the beauty of little Izumi Chunzi, the woman suddenly became happy. She squinted her eyes and smiled smugly, touched her face with her slender fingers in white script, and fell into intoxication. It is as expected. Yizan had already inquired about the beautiful teacher in the next class. This woman likes to be praised and surrounded by wild bees and butterflies. She is a woman who loves vanity. Because of this, she was able to avoid Konoha's scrutiny and become a teacher at the ninja school. Perhaps Konoha Anbu subjectively believed that a woman with this character could not be a spy sent by an enemy country. At this moment, no one noticed that an illusory Yuhi color force field had appeared in the air. The duel was successfully launched. Yizan sneered, turned around abruptly, stepped on the ground, and a cyan wind burst from the soles of his feet. The air was scratching on his face and it hurt, which was a sign of extremely fast speed. Yizan clearly saw the shocked look of the man in front of him. Swish! The breeze was blowing, and the corners of Yizan's clothes were swaying constantly. The alley fell silent, and it was only then that Izumi Tsubaki and the other man reacted. PFFT. Meter altitude, turning most of the sky into a bloody Yuhi. Jiro Miyazaki. Little Izumi Tsubaki stared at the head on the ground in disbelief, and gradually, her body began to tremble. Yizan didn't know that the person who died happened to be the real boyfriend of little Izumi Chunzi. She originally planned to go back to the village to get married after this vote, but she did not expect that the man she loved was actually planted in Yizan's hands. I really didn't expect that Erlang will die like this. Little Izumi Tsubaki whispered, and the next moment, she suddenly raised her head. Her beautiful face was crisscrossed with blue veins, making her look extremely hideous. Little devil, I want you to die. Doden, Earth style. Toon gun. The ground suddenly changed, and sharp rocks pierced towards the soles of Yizan's feet. Yizan immediately jumped, his body vacated, and his hands quickly hand seal. Futon, wind style. Wind cut. Quote. A few pieces of light cyan light cut through the sky and shot towards the little Izumi, and the thin light instantly cut the little Izumi into several pieces, and the little Izumi also turned into soil and disappeared. Che, is it a soil stand-in? Yizan frowned and fell from the air. He moved his arm gently, and it hurt a lot. He was injured by 3 kuu before, and the wound on his body seemed to be dripping with blood, but it was not too serious. No, we must fight quickly, and in a few minutes, even if I bleed, I will be shed to death. Yizan bit Kiba, his eyes were firm, he stared straight at the little Izumi Chunzi not far away. The next second, the chakra knife suddenly threw out. The target he chose was actually the Chunin man on the other side. Sato, be careful. PFFT. With a soft sound, the chakra knife penetrated the throat. Seeing the second companion fell to the ground and died, little Izumi Tsubaki took a step back subconsciously. She clenched her fists tightly, and looked at Yizan with a flash of fear. Is this the child of the Shimura family? Even though there is only Genin's chakra, he can display such terrifying fighting power. Originally, this Chunin could not be easily killed, but he has been an ordinary resident in Konoha for a few years, and the fighting is a lot unfamiliar. In addition, there is a lot of futon wind style on the chakra knife, and he even opened 2 games. Tomo Sharingan, Uchiha Fugaku also avoided it, let alone this kind of ordinary chunin without blood. After solving the two, Yizan's brows not only did not loosen, but wrinkled even tighter. The second eruption made the injury on his right arm more serious, and blood continued to spill out, dyeing half of his sleeves yuhi color. Even though his left leg and neck were slightly better injured, the blood flowed more and more because of the time. He stared at the little Izumi Tsubaki, swaying, his footsteps a little vain. Quick fight. Yizan bit Kiba again, reluctantly raised his hand-to-hand seal, he took a sharp breath, and chakra gathered at the murderous mouth. Futon, wind style. Daitapa, great breakthrough. Quote. Chapter 18_Purple Skill Book. Rumbling. The violent whirlwind spewed out of his mouth and quickly shot at the little Izumi Tsubaki. The small Izumi Tsubaki burst into pieces again, turning into mud and disappearing. Over there. Yizan's eyes narrowed, and the seal in his hand was instantly formed. Futon, wind style. Wind cut. Quote. In just half a second, 5 thin cyan lights ripped apart the sky and rushed towards the grass on the left. Call out, call out, call out. Yizan's strong fighting consciousness made the little Izumi Chunin even more shocked. At this moment, it was too late to find a substitute, the substitute technique could not be used, and the 5 wind cuts had completely blocked her retreat. She did not hesitate, Chunin's strength fully play out. Doden, earth style. The art of the iron cannon. Bang 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 bang. Large number of small rock blocks spit out from little Izumi Tsubaki's mouth, hitting the blue light accurately, cancelling out all the wind cuts. A gloomy look flashed in her eyes, and complicated marks formed on her hands. At the same time, a figure suddenly emerged from the ground and grabbed Yizan's feet. When could it be that at the same time as the avatar technique, when I wasn't paying attention, I already separated my avatar and hid under the soil? Yizan was slightly startled. The wind attribute chakra immediately covered his palm, turned his palm into a knife, and slashed towards the ground fiercely. However, before he could make his move, a terrifying aura came from the front. Yizan's body was shocked, and when he looked up, he found that the little Izumi Chunzi had long hair flying, and a hideous face, like a ghost. Boy, you are still far from the experience you have honed in life and death. Die. Doden, earth style. Earth dragon bullet. A mad dragon formed of mud roared towards Yizan, and the sharp Kiba teeth opened wide, as if Yizan would be torn apart in the next second. At the moment of crisis, Yizan no longer cares about the earth clone holding his feet. Seeing that the earth dragon is less than 3 meters away from him, his heart becomes more and more calm at this moment. At the moment of life and death, Yizan's potential explodes and squeezes out all the chakra in his body. Heart of the strong white increase the release speed and power by 100% within 1 second, use it. Futon, wind style. Vacuum sphere. Hum. The air seemed to burst, and deafening sound waves erupted. The 3 individually rotating wind bombs converged into a pin shape, as if connected together, forming a stronger rotation. Boom. The wind bomb hit the earth dragon, shattering the earth dragon in an instant, almost without stopping, rushing towards the little Izumi Chunko. Izumi Tsubaki opened her mouth in disbelief, exhausted from chakra. She screamed in fear, and she never thought that AC level futon, wind style ninjutsu could break AB level doden, earth style. Boom. The earth shook, blood was flying, and the little Izumi Tsubaki was torn in two by the violent wind bullet. The blue C-rank ninjutsu combined with the heart of the strong, actually destroyed the earth dragon bullet in an instant. It is indeed a golden finger. Yizan took a few steps back, leaning against the wall and gasping for breath. He looked up at the sky. The Yuhi color force field was still running, and there was no sign of breaking. At the same time, there was a slight fluctuation in the wall behind Yizan, as if the air was distorted, but looking closely, it seemed that there was nothing. The opportunity is here. The ninja hiding in the wall suddenly raised the soil cone in his hand and stabbed it towards the back of Yizan's neck. However, the next moment, severe pain invaded his brain. His body was paralyzed, and he was unable to move at all. How did you find me? The ninja lowered his head and found that an extremely fine lightning bolt had penetrated his heart. Only then did he realize that Yizan's hand leaning on the wall was quietly pointing at him, and the thunderlight of his index finger blinking constantly. Ordinary ninjas really can't find you, but unfortunately, my mental power is 3 times that of ordinary ninjas. When I killed the first person, your breath fluctuated a little, and then you were locked by me. Little Izumi teacher called that the person's name is Jiro Miyazaki. I think you should be his older brother or younger brother, right? Miyazaki Chunin. Yizan turned his head and looked to his side. On the empty wall, the figure of a man gradually appeared. Yizan shook his head and retracted the raiden, thunder style, at his fingertips. That's it. As expected of a child whose superiors asked to be executed, what a terrifying talent. The 4th Chunin died in the end, his heart pierced, and no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't last long. Yizan looked up at the sky. Yuhi's color force field shattered, turned into a torrent and rushed into the 4 corpses. Then, 4 rays of light rose from the corpse. Yizan was slightly taken aback, and a surprised expression appeared on his face. 3 white and 1 purple skill book. Give Xiao Haoxi a face, the flowers are thrown up equals. Chapter 19 Love Like a Mountain. In Konoha Hospital, Yizan was wrapped in bandages and lay quietly on the bed. This time the injury was so severe that even if the Minister of Medical Affairs took action, it would take 2 days for treatment. As long as there are no scars on his body, Yizan doesn't care much about the treatment time. At this moment, his mind is immersed in the space of consciousness, staring at the system screen in a daze. Sweden, water style. Wild water wave, white, 1 ingot. Sweden, water style. Water dragon bullet, white, 5 ingots. Sweden, water style. Water curtain, white, 5 ingots. Sweden, water style. The art of Kurigakur, purple, 20 ingots. 1 C-level white ninjutsu, 2 B-level white ninjutsu, and 1 B-level purple ninjutsu. Yizan's eyes were a little dull. It wasn't that the purple ninja had a big impact on him. He just thought it was very strange. Why did 4 Sweden, water style, books appear when there were 4 ninjas using Doden, earth style? Not only that, but the fact that the other party assassinated him is also very strange. With Sarutobi Danzo's eyesight, you can see the traces of pure Doden, earth style battle at a glance. You must know that Yizan is Danzo's son. He killed Yizan on Konoha's territory. Excluding all the impossibility, the remaining impossibility is also the truth. Coupled with the coincidence of the explosion of 4 Sweden, water-style books, Yizan understands that this should be the plan of the Water Kingdom, in an attempt to stir up the soil. The conflict between the country and Konoha. Why does the country of water provoke contradictions? Thinking of the previous changes in the Kingdom of Wind, Yizan suddenly realized. It seems that the Kingdom of Water has joined the Kingdom of Hefeng in an attempt to provoke a war. They use the blame to bring in the Kingdom of Earth. As long as the Kingdom of Earth and Konoha go to war, the Water and Wind Alliance will immediately attack Konoha. The Kingdom of Thunder will also come in to get a share of the pie. Konoha is surrounded by enemies on all sides. Even if the truth is discovered, what can he do? What a cunning method. If you don't have the golden finger, you might really die in this assassination. With Danzo's extreme character, he will definitely take revenge on the land of the land like crazy. To stop Danzo, unless you kill Danzo, but will Sarutobi do this? Killing Danzo, the root, is also destroyed. Konoha's strength is directly lost by a small half, and it is even more impossible to meet the upcoming war. Perhaps Sarutobi knows this and would rather start a war than appease Danzo. This era, Danzo's right eye is not yet blind. Yizan guessed that because of his extreme revenge, Danzo is very likely to be injured in World War II in the future. Losing one eye, perhaps the one who injured him is the 3rd generation Tsuchikage, who weighed Onoki in 2 days. There was no Yizan in the original work. Perhaps Danzo's son died in this assassination, but now, the plan of the Land of Water has failed, and the soul from the 21st century can easily see through the conspiracy. Don't look at Yizan's usual grinning appearance, it's just because he has Danzo as his backing. No one in Konoha dares to offend him, but Yizan is a very strong person in his bones. Even if a dog bites him, he will bite back regardless. Can't afford to lose the slightest. Wild water wave for sale, water curtain for sale, water dragon bullet. Forget it, the white one is useless, sell it and keep the Kurigakure art. Yizan sold 3 ninjutsu and got 11 ingots, and then equipped with the purple Kurigakure technique. Suddenly, a piece of India flashed in his mind, as if he had been using it for decades, and the power of ninjutsu reached its peak. The limit of B-level ninjutsu is purple. I don't know what effect orange and gold have. Then again, is 11 ingots useful? Yizan looked at his skill book and found that all of them were C-level ninjutsu. The only B-level ninjutsu was the auxiliary Kurigakure technique. After thinking about it, Yizan decided to keep the ingots and upgrade to more advanced ninjutsu in the future. At this moment, there was a sound from the outside world. Yizan immediately exited the consciousness space, listened carefully, and found that someone was talking outside the ward. Lord Hokage, Lord Danzo. How is Xiaoshuan? There was too much blood loss and the trauma was serious, but it didn't hurt the root cause. I tried my best to treat it, and I can fully recover in about 2 days. Well, let's go down. A while, the door was gently pushed open. Yizan opened his eyes and saw Danzo's stern face. Son, who did it? Spy in the outer village. Humph. Sarutobi, it's your good policy. What brought in the foreign population to develop Konoha? Look at what my son is injured. Yizan's serious injury made Danzo very angry. He turned around and sprayed at Sarutobi, blaming Sarutobi for the whole thing. To have long been used to it, Sarutobi reluctantly took a breath of cigarette and comforted in a calm tone. In the beginning, the development of the village was a strategy jointly formulated by the 4 of us. You also voted for it. Now, blame me. I also looked at Xiao Xuanchang. The big one, he was hurt like this, and I feel bad in my heart. However, Sarutobi's consolation was of no use. Seeing Danzo's increasingly cold face, he took a breath again and said softly, I have sent Anbu to search the Yudang, which village did it, and how to deal with it. I will give you a satisfactory account. No, I didn't say this. You go out right now. Xiaoshuan is injured now. Why do you dare to smoke in the ward? Come out for me. Danzo pointed out the door coldly, without giving Sarutobi any face. Sarutobi's face froze. He smiled awkwardly at Yizan, turned around, and left the ward in despair. Humph. Danzo snorted again, turned his head to look at Yizan. His mood changed. He hurried to Yizan's side, touched Yizan's head. His tone was full of worry. Xiaozan, are you alright? It's okay, as you said, you can only become a strong person by going through hardships. Yizan smiled, not wanting to make Danzo worry too much. As long as he didn't suffer incurable damage, it was nothing to him. Hey, it's all my fault. I should have kept number 1 by your side. Fortunately, it hasn't made a big mistake. I have decided that starting from today, number 1 and number 2 will be completely under your control. Practice. In Dad's heart, your life is the most important thing. After Danzo finished speaking, he turned his head a little unnaturally, and did not let Yizan see his slightly moist eyes. He strode out of the ward, slowed down, and only turned his head until his mood stabilized, and said, Xiaozan, rest assured, I am now. Just go look for the remnants. All the grievances you have suffered will be reported back to you by Dad. Note, as long as it is a human being, there are people who cherish it. This is human nature. Even if it is a murderous one, it will cherish by without cutting it. Information that can be disclosed now. 1. The person whom Danzo cherishes is the protagonist. Information that can be made public now. 2. This article is set, in the original work. Danzo's son was killed in this assassination, and Danzo lost the only person he cherished, which led to a complete distortion of his extreme character. Chapter 20 Emergency Meeting. Sunade is back. A full week after the last assassination, Konoha's team sent to the Land of the Winds is back. Because it was a covert operation, Orochimaru Sunade and 30 Jonin entered Konoha in batches disguised as ordinary villagers without attracting anyone's attention. Entering Konoha, the three Sunade did not stop, but hurriedly entered the Hokage building. After half an hour, the four Anbu turned into shadows and left the Hokage building and disappeared. At this moment, Yi-zan was in a wide yard. Opposite him was a man of about 30 years old. The man was just standing with a pressing aura. His eyes were calm, gentle mixed with sternness. Only Raiden, Thunder Style, and Taijutsu are allowed today, for unlimited time, and you can rest until I say stop. His voice was not loud, but it showed an irresistible magic power. Yi-zan pouted, but he didn't dare to make trouble in front of this man. Hatake Sakumo, 29 years old, Minister of Anbu, although he only has the strength of the quasi-shadow peak, but because he has practiced ultimate Hatake swordsmanship and Raiden Thunder Style, his real combat power can be comparable to ordinary Kage level. During World War II in the original work, Hatake Sakumo had already shown unrivaled strength. Yi-zan guessed that maybe at a certain time period in the early days of the war, Hatake Sakumo successfully broke through to become a Kage-level powerhouse. With Hatake swordsmanship and Raiden Thunder Style, even Danzo is no match for it. Hatake Sakumo's personality is very upright, and it can be said to be old-fashioned. After he promised to teach Yi-zan, he really taught him wholeheartedly. Due to his habit of serving as Anbu's minister for many years, he also treated Yi-zan the same way he came to Anbu, the punishment system. If Yi-zan has not completed the prescribed training, he is not allowed to rest. Once Yi-zan wants to be lazy and rest, Hatake Sakumo will attack him with Raiden Thunder Style, often making Yi-zan scream and run around the yard. Call out. Sound, a shadow suddenly appeared on the edge of the backyard. The shadow bowed to Hatake Sakumo and said respectfully, Master Minister, Master Hokage has a message. I hope you will go to the Hokage office immediately for a meeting. Oh, a meeting. Hatake Sakumo was a little surprised. As Minister Anbu, he was Sarutobi's number one horse after all. He had never attended such an emergency meeting. Who else is there besides me? And Lord Danzo, Lord Menyon, Lord Kaharu, and Lord Hokage's three apprentices. Is that so? Hatake Sakumo was startled, and immediately understood the urgency of the matter. You must know that the 30 Jonins who accompanied Orochimaru and the others to the Land of Wind to investigate the changes were all Anbu members. When the personnel returned, Hatake Sakumo did not receive any news. This means that they had just returned and they had an emergency meeting. Something must have happened. Major event. Hatake Sakumo gave Yi-zan a look, and was about to let Yi-zan practice alone. Before he could say anything, Yi-zan interrupted him. I'm going to, this time should be very important, otherwise the dead monkey won't call you there. I'll listen to it too, maybe I can come up with some ideas. Yi-zan's words made Hatake Sakumo hesitate for a moment and then nodded. He knew Danzo's doting on Yi-zan. Although this kind of meeting was a high-level meeting, Yi-zan wanted to hear it, but no one could stop him except Danzo himself. Matter was urgent. Hatake Sakumo didn't want to waste time. He walked to Yi-zan's side and grabbed Yi-zan's arm. The next second, Yi-zan only felt a force pulling him away. His ears were whirring, and the whole world was blurred. Before he could react, he stood on the ground again, shook his head ignorantly, and in a trance, a beautiful figure appeared in front of him. Hey dear, why are you here? Bastard, who is your darling? Hidong's roar made Yi-zan's brain dizzy. He shook his head again, only to find that he was standing in the middle of Hokage's office, with several pairs of eyes staring at him silently. Ah, hello everyone, comrades have worked hard. Yi Xuantian waved to Sarutobi and the others shamelessly, gave Sunade a provocative glance, and silently walked to Danzo's side amid Sunade's glaring eyes. Office was quiet again. Sarutobi tapped his pipe on the table, put his pipe on the table for the first time, rubbed his temples tiredly, and said in a deep voice, "Since everyone is here, let's start. Orochimaru, you speak." Hearing Sarutobi's words, Orochimaru nodded. He took a step forward, looked around, and after everyone focused their eyes on him, he said in a hoarse voice, "In the past 2 months, we have investigated the changes in the Land of Wind. First of all, what needs to be explained is that the country of the wind is about to start a war." It was as if a boulder smashed into the lake. Although it was expected, when Orochimaru told the truth, it still stirred up a storm in the hearts of everyone. Except for the main battle faction Danzo, including Hatake Sakumo, everyone frowned. Shocked, everyone present was well informed, and they quickly calmed down, waiting for Orochimaru to continue. Because all the spies in Cheyenne village were cleared, we had to start from the beginning. We divided 30 people into 3 groups, led by me, Jiraiya, and Sunade, respectively. We found that dozens of large and medium-sized towns in the Land of Wind did not ninja. Then, we squatted in a hidden place outside Cheyenne village, and recorded the entry and exit of Cheyenne for the past 2 months. The final conclusion is that the ninjas in the entire country of Wind, except for special circumstances, are almost all concentrated in Cheyenne Hidden Village. All concentrated, all spies removed. Isn't this a traditional pre-war mobilization? Kaharu Udatane took a deep breath, shocked by the actions of the Land of Winds. Are they crazy? Did they think they can beat Konoha with 20 years of training? No, there must be something missing. Orochimaru, don't sell it. There must be something else to discover, right? Homura Mitokado's eyes flashed. The clever Konoha advisor guessed the hole in Orochimaru's words in an instant. Hey. As expected of Elder Menyon, in order to get more accurate information, I once entered Cheyenne village in disguise. When I was dining in the tavern, I found a group of people, although wearing civilian clothes, but from their tone and momentum, can see their weirdness. What's weird? The other party is a group of jonin. One of them constantly dislikes the food when eating, and says that it is so hot and uncomfortable. He takes out a water bottle from his waist from time to time to drink water. You must know that jonin's ability to survive is very strong. Most likely. Ghost lanterns. Danzo said, his eyes narrowed. I once fought jonin from the ghost lanterns. Their blood was liquefied, and they were immune to all physical damage. I learned from the second-generation Hokage that once the ghost lanterns left the water, if you are a country, you will carry a water bottle with you. Orochimaru should have observed a lot of evidence to prove this fact, that is to say, the country of wind and the country of water have joined forces, right?